He died as a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army. He woke up in a stranger's body, lying under a Roman woolen blanket with a roughly stitched wound under his ribcage. A stranger's name was engraved on his chest plate, and a panel was flashing before his eyes. The combat system was activated. Host: Marcus Valerius Corvus. Skill: Modern Logistics. Rank: F. Tactical Superiority: 0 out of 100. He stares at the panel for a long time, silently. Outside, people are shouting in Latin, and he understands every word. The grain convoy didn't make it. The Gauls burned the bridge at Padus. The legate summons the Centurions for a council. The 10th Legion, Cisalpine Gaul. If he's not mistaken by the armor, this is before Caesar, which means Caesar isn't anyone yet. He stands up. His body aches but obeys. It feels foreign, younger, more sinewy. He fastens the belt with the gladius and steps out into the Gallic drizzle. And freezes. The camp before him is mud and chaos. The tents are crooked. The sentries on the rampart are too far apart. The moat has run dry. The palisade has rotted away on the western side. And then habit kicks in. 20 years of service aren't erased even by death. He calculates automatically. The distance between the sentries, the angles of vision, the blind spots. 3 points where a saboteur could slip through unnoticed. 2 spots where you could set the camp ablaze with a single torch. This camp is no fortress. It's a target. 2 legionnaires walk past. Young, dirty. They nod to him. Centurion Corvus. They know that face. He doesn't know theirs, not yet. He strides toward the legate's tent and counts as he goes. Tents for 8 men. There should be 10 per centuria. He sees 7. That means fewer men than places. That means the losses are worse than the roster shows. 6 centurions stand by the tent, all older than him, all gray with fatigue and anger. One turns around, gray-haired, a scar from temple to jaw, eyes sharp as a hawk's. Primipulus, the legion's first centurion, 30 years in the ranks. His name is Gnaeus Decius. He looks at Marcus the way a master looks at a blade, to sharpen it or send it straight to the smelter. Marcus holds his gaze. Decius looks away first. The curtain swings open, a voice from inside, sharp and capricious. The voice of one who is listened to not for his intellect, but for his family's estates across 3 provinces. Legate Lucius Cornelius Scipio, 28 years old. He bought the position with his senator uncle's money. In 3 months, he's wasted 2,000 soldiers without a single battle. Marcus enters, and the first thing he sees is a map, or rather what they call a map here. A piece of leather with crooked rivers, no scale, no relief, no roads. At West Point, a freshman would get a stake for something like this. Scipio pokes the leather with his finger and bursts into a shout. The Gauls have burned the supply train again, the 3rd in a month. Tomorrow, he will personally lead 2 cohorts. He will burn 4 villages. He will hang the elders. And he will keep burning until the barbarians realize who they're dealing with. The centurions are silent. To contradict a patrician of the Cornelius clan means the end of one's career, or one's life. And Marcus, in the back row, is counting. 4 villages, 2 cohorts is 1,000 men. Hills, forest. The Gauls know every path. The Romans know none. Divide the forces into 4 strikes, and every detachment will be surrounded. Don't divide them, and 3 villages will manage to escape. Casualties on a punitive raid in unfamiliar terrain, at least 15%. 150 men. For 4 villages that will yield only ashes and a new wave of hatred. He saw it in Afghanistan, the same logic, the same failure. Burning a village is not a victory. It's a recruitment poster for the insurgents. Marcus raises his hand. Silence. Scipio looks down on him, contempt in every feature. Speak, Corvus, since you survived. And here's where it gets interesting. Marcus doesn't argue, doesn't criticize. 20 years of staff work have drilled one rule into him. Never tell a general he's a fool. Tell a general you'll make him smarter. He grabs a waxed tablet. He has style. He draws quickly and precisely. The Padus Valley. 4 villages, distances, trails, fordings, wooded areas. All from memory. All from the lectures he himself gave to cadets 5 years ago. And he asks calmly, Legate, in which of these villages does the wife of the Boii chieftain live? Silence. No one knows. Not a single person in the tent has asked himself that question. To them, the Gauls are a faceless mass. But to Marcus, an enemy who remains faceless is an enemy you cannot defeat. He continues, in a single day, without casualties, and he names a man, a salt merchant, an old Gaul he spotted yesterday near the supply train. The man travels through all 4 villages. For 3 denarii, he'll tell us everything. For 5, he'll bring the chieftain's wife himself under the pretense of buying horses. And then there's no need to burn 4 villages, no need to lose 150 men. Just 1 is needed. And maybe there won't even be a need to burn her, because the chieftain's wife isn't ashes. She's a bargaining chip. Scipio is silent. His face is red, his eyes narrow. Marcus sees his mind racing. It's not wisdom, greed. The burned-out supply wagons are his wagons. The dead soldiers are his soldiers, whom he has to replace at his own expense. And 3 denarii are just 3 denarii. Do it, Centurion. Lie, and I'll crucify you. Marcus salutes and exits. But drizzle hits his face. He stands there for a second, 2. Inside, it feels unfamiliar. Not fear, not excitement. Clarity. For the first time in his entire career, there is no bureaucracy between decision and action. No approvals. No committees. No 3-month wait for the plan to be approved. There is a small board. There is style. There are people. There is an enemy. And there is him. The merchant's name is Brig. Marcus finds him half an hour later by the fire. The old man is repairing a strap on a mule. Marcus sits down beside him. He doesn't give orders. He doesn't threaten. He asks about roads, about villages, about chieftains and their wives, about who's fighting whom among the Boii. Brig looks on in amazement. In 10 years of trading with the Romans, not a single one has asked him anything other than the price of salt. An hour later, Marcus has the full picture. The chieftain is Bren. His wife Epona lives in the 3rd village from the river. 2 sons. The elder hates his father and wants peace with Rome. The younger is a fanatic who visits the Druids. Epona is smart. She makes more decisions than her husband. Brennus is the fist. Epona is the head. Marcus pays 5 denarii, not 3, and promises 5 more when the job is done. Brig hides the coins and nods. 32 hours later, Epona is sitting in the legate's tent. 4 days later, the treaty is signed. The Boii hand over the hostages. The bridge at Padus will be rebuilt. The supply trains will proceed without casualties. Casualties in the operation. 0. A panel flashes before Marcus's eyes. Tactical superiority. 47 out of 100. Modern logistics raised to rank E. Module unlocked. Human intelligence. It is quiet in the tent in the evening. The lamp burns steadily. Marcus sits over a small board and writes a list of what needs to be fixed. The supply train, the guards, the moat, the palisade, reconnaissance, medical care. Each item means months of fighting with people who wage war just as their grandfathers did and believe that is the right way. The curtain flips open. Decius. He enters silently. He sits down across from him. He looks at the board. He looks at Marcus. For a long time. Marcus doesn't look away. Decius speaks quietly, so that they can't hear behind the wall. Corvus. Where did you learn that? Marcus smiles slightly. I just counted, Centurion. Just counted. Decius is silent for another minute. Nods. Stands up. Stops at the canopy. Doesn't turn around. My former Centurion of the 4th cohort died 3 days ago. Right next to you. A stray arrow. You survived. He didn't. His name was Titus. 20 years in the ranks. A good soldier. A bad commander. And you, Corvus, are a commander. I can see that. I'm not asking how. I just see it. And he leaves. Marcus sits alone. The lamp is lit. Behind the wall, someone is singing an old soldier's song out of tune. 20 years of military training. 2,000 years of difference. The body of a dead man, a system that flashes before his eyes, and a camp full of soldiers who don't know that their commander died yesterday and rose again today as someone else. All right, Corvus, you died in your own world. I died at home. Let's get to work now. The morning begins with a scream. Marcus jumps up before he has time to wake up. His body reacts before his mind. His hand on the hilt of his gladius. His feet on the earthen floor. His heart pounding. A scream from outside. Not a battle cry. Worse, someone is howling. Low. Monotonous. That's how they howl when they know it's too late. He steps out of the tent. A crowd stands by the far row. The legionaries part. A soldier lies on the ground, young, about 20. His leg below the knee is black. The stench of rot hits his nose from 3 paces away. Another legionnaire stands nearby, an older one. His face is pale. His hands are shaking. He says that 3 days ago the guy was scratched by an arrow. Nothing serious, just a scratch. He bandaged it himself with a rag. Didn't bother anyone. 3 days. The rag is dirty. The wound is open. Infection, gas gangrene. In the 21st century, that means antibiotics and surgical treatment. Here, it means death. Marcus drops to one knee next to the guy. His pupils are dilated. His skin is hot. His pulse is thread-like. Systemic infection. Sepsis. Even if he amputates the leg right now, it's too late. He knows it. 20 years ago in Kandahar, he saw the same thing. Back then, he had an evacuation helicopter and a hospital in Bagram. Here, he has nothing. The guy dies by noon. His name was Sextus. He was 19. Marcus stands by him until the end, holds his hand. When it's over, he covers the body with a raincoat and goes to find a doctor. The doctor is in a tent on the eastern edge of the camp, or rather what they consider a doctor here. Marcus pulls back the flap and stops. A woman, dark hair tied in a knot at the back of her head. Her hands are covered in blood up to the elbows. She is standing over a legionnaire who is lying on a wooden table and moaning. There are instruments on the table nearby. Bronze, rough, but clean. That's the first thing he notices. The instruments are clean. In a camp where everything is covered in dirt, this woman keeps her instruments clean. She turns around. Her face is sharp. Her eyes are dark, tired, angry. She speaks. If you came to complain about the taste of the porridge, go to the cook. If you came to die, lie down and wait. If you came to interfere, leave. Marcus doesn't leave. He speaks. Sextus, from the 3rd Contubernia, died an hour ago. Gangrene from an untreated wound. 3 days. A rag. Not boiled. The woman freezes, teeth clenched. She speaks quietly. I know. I told his decurion 3 days ago. Let him bring the boy. The decurion said he wouldn't lead soldiers to a woman for every scratch. She says this evenly, without emotion. But Marcus sees how the knuckles of her fingers have turned white on the handle of the lancet. He asks her name. Helena. A Greek woman, a freed woman. She studied in Alexandria. Marcus nods. He sits down on an empty crate and says something she hasn't heard once in all her time in this camp. Helena, I'm going to make it mandatory for the Centurions to boil water. Separate pits for the wounded, clean bandages, an examination of every soldier with any wound within the day. Tell me where I'm wrong. You know more than I do. She looks at him as if he's crazy. Then she sits down and talks for 3 hours straight. Marcus listens, takes notes on a tablet, asks questions. She knows anatomy, knows herbs, knows how to stitch wounds. She knows that dirt kills faster than a sword. She knows all this, and for 3 months no one listened to a single word she said. By morning, they have a protocol ready. Simple. 3 rules. Boil water, wash your hands, show the wound to a doctor. 3 rules that in this century sound like witchcraft. Marcus goes to Decius. Primipolis listens in silence. He frowns. Boil water? Why? Marcus doesn't explain about bacteria. He doesn't explain about infection. He speaks simply. Decius. Sextus died yesterday from a dirty rag. He was 19. If every soldier boils water and washes their wounds, we'll lose half as many men to disease. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to try. 1 week. My Centuria. If it doesn't work, we'll forget about it. Decius thinks. For a long time. Then he nods. 1 week, Corvus. Your Centuria. If anyone gets sick from boiled water, I'll personally whip you. The next day, Marcus gathers his Centuria. 80 men, or rather, 63. 17 spots are empty. He stands before them and looks into their faces. Young, old, tired, indifferent. He doesn't give speeches. He doesn't inspire. He speaks. Starting today, 3 rules. Only boiled water. Wash your hands before eating and after using the latrine. Any wound, even a scratch, must be shown to Dr. Helena within the day. Whoever breaks the rules will clean the latrines. Questions. Silence. Then someone from the back rose, healthy, red-haired, hands like a blacksmith's, a centurion. And if we're killed in battle? Go to the doctor then, too? Laughter. Marcus doesn't smile. He says, if you're killed in battle, that's my responsibility. If you die from a dirty rag, that's your own stupidity. Choose how you want to die. The redhead shuts up. Marcus dismisses the Centuria. 3 days. Nothing happens. The soldiers boil water with grumbling. They wash their hands with curses. They go to Helena with contempt on their faces. On the 4th day, the decurion of the 2nd Contubernia brings a soldier with a cut on his shoulder to Helena. Fresh, clean. Helena washes it, stitches it up, applies a clean bandage. A week later, the cut has healed. The soldier is back in the ranks. In the neighboring Centuria, 2 men fell ill with fever from dirty water that same week. 1 died. Marcus says nothing. He doesn't brag. He doesn't point fingers. He just waits. The soldiers figure it out for themselves. By the end of the 2nd week, a decurion from the neighboring Centuria comes to him. He hesitates at the entrance. Then he asks, Corvus, Can mine do it too? It's the boiling. Marcus nods. Sure. Let them go to Helena. A month later, 3 centuries are boiling their water. 2 months later, Decius, having caught on, issues an order to the entire legion. Marcus sits in his tent and makes a note on a small board. Losses from disease for the month. There were 27. 11. In the second month, it dropped to 6. Math. Simple, brutal math. Every number is a person. Every number that goes down is someone's life. He feels no pride. He feels anger. Because this knowledge is as old as the world. Boil water, wash your hands, show the wound to a doctor. And thousands of people have died for centuries because no one thought of these 3 simple rules. At the same time, Marcus takes charge of the supply train. Formally, it's a punishment. Scipio is angry after the incident with the Boeotians. He can't punish Marcus openly because the results speak for themselves. But he can humiliate him. The supply train is a job for losers, for those who aren't valued. A centurion assigned to the supply train is a centurion who's being told he's a nobody. Marcus accepts the assignment calmly, because the supply train is exactly what he needs. There's a saying at West Point: amateurs talk about tactics, professionals talk about logistics. First day with the supply train, Marcus takes stock. Mules, carts, load capacity, routes, vulnerable points, grain consumption rates, water supply, speed on mud, speed on rock, distance between resupply points. He's had all this figured out in his head for a long time, because he's read Van Creveld. He's read Clausewitz. He read Jomini. He knows what no one else in this century knows. An army does not march on its feet. An army marches on its stomach. The supply train is commanded by a woman, Livia Serena, the widow of the junior tribune who died in the first skirmish. Marcus finds her behind a large wagon. She is sitting on a crate and writing, a small board, with back, columns of numbers. Marcus looks over her shoulder and freezes. The columns are neat. The calculations are precise. Grain consumption by day, remaining stock, forecast. This woman keeps better records than half the quartermasters he's seen at the Pentagon. She raises her head. Her eyes are dark. Her face is dressed in dark clothes. She doesn't look up past his chin. Marcus sits down beside her. He doesn't order her. He sits down and asks, "Show me your calculations." She shows them to him. He looks, for a long time, carefully. Then he says, "Livia, you did everything right. Mathematically, your convoy should have made it. But the order to move out came without a 2-day supply. It's not your fault. It's an order." She is silent. Her fingers clench the pen. Marcus sees it. She blames herself. 3 months, every day, her husband died because the supply train didn't make it. And she thinks it's her fault. Marcus takes out his notepad. He draws a table, a new one, double entry. Incoming, outgoing, checkpoints. A 15% reserve at every stage. A system used in every modern army. Basic logistics. He shows her, explains. Not as a commander to a subordinate, as a colleague to a colleague. She listens. Her eyes widen, then narrow. She understands, quickly. He sees how her brain works. She grasps the principle on the fly. "Where did you learn that?" Same question. Marcus smiles. "I did a lot of math." He doesn't tell her about his past life, doesn't mention the system, doesn't say that in his world, this accounting system was invented 1,500 years later. He just works with her, every day. In the morning, he checks on his Centuria's guards. In the afternoon, he works with the supply train. In the evening, he sits with Helena over the list of the wounded. At night, he writes. Plans, calculations, diagrams. He sleeps 4 hours. His body is young. It holds up. In 3 weeks, Losses in the supply train drop by 80%. Not magic, mathematics, checkpoints, reserve supplies, proper loading of the mules, rotation of the animals. Distribution of heavy loads. Things that any corporal in a 21st century army knows, like the multiplication table. The legionaries begin to whisper. Corvus, the very one who made a deal with the boii. The very one who boils the water so no one gets sick. The very one who took charge of the supply train, and now it runs like clockwork. Marcus hears the whispers. He pays no attention. He has no time for glory. He has a list of 43 items that need to be fixed, so this legion stops being a target and becomes an army. 43 items. And next to each one, an estimated deadline. The first 3 have check marks next to them. 40 remain. In the 6th week, war comes. Not minor skirmishes, not raids. A real war. Scouts report that the Insubres are gathering an army, 600 warriors, maybe more. They're heading for the Silver Fords, the only crossing over the Padus for 30 miles in either direction. If the Insubres take the crossing, the legion will be cut off from supplies. Scipio calls a council. Marcus stands in the tent and listens. The legate wants a head-on attack. 2 cohorts, 1,000 men. Strike the Gauls on the march, overwhelm them with numbers. Classic. The very same classic that cost Rome, Cannae, Ararian, and the Teutoburg forest. Marcus calculates. 600 Gauls, territory they know like the back of their hand, wooded hills on both banks, a narrow ford. If you lead 1,000 men in column to the ford, the vanguard will come under attack from both sides. If you deploy in battle order on the approach, you'll lose time, and the Gauls will retreat into the forest. If you split into 2 detachments and flank them, each detachment will be vulnerable on its own. A standard task from a tactics course. The solution is standard. Do none of the above. Marcus asks to speak. Scipio grimaces. Corvus again. Marcus lays out the plan. Do not attack. Let the Gauls come to the ford themselves. He knows the spot. Hills on both sides. A narrow path leads to the water. The forest comes close from the north. If we position 300 legionaries on the hills on either side, camouflage them. Wait, let the Gauls enter the narrow pass, and strike from above, with scorpions. 3 scorpions, pre-aimed. Each has a range of 400 paces. The firing sectors are marked out. The Gauls enter the strike zone and come under crossfire. Panic. A stampede. The narrow path prevents them from turning around. Infantry is coming down from the hills. Formation, discipline, shield to shield, pilums. Scipio listens, irritation on his face. He doesn't understand half of what Marcus is saying, but he understands the numbers. 300 against 600. Casualties are minimal. The result is the complete annihilation of the enemy. He agrees. Not out of wisdom, out of greed. 300 is cheaper than 1,000. Marcus has given command. 3 sentries, 300 men. His own and 2 from the 5th cohort. 2 days to prepare. Marcus doesn't sleep for those 2 days. The first day, reconnaissance. He goes to the ford alone with 4 legionnaires. He looks, he counts, measures distances and paces, finds positions for the scorpions. 3 points, the right hill, the left hill, and 1 position in the rear behind the ridge. It strikes the trail on the retreat. If the Gauls run back, they'll fall under the 3rd scorpion. A bag, a classic fire trap. In the 21st century, it's textbook stuff. Here, it's a revelation. Day 2, deployment. Marcus personally leads each group to their position, shows them their sector. Explains, you shoot here, only here, not to the right, not to the left. See that rock? That's your landmark. When the first Gaul lines up with the rock, fire, not before. The Scorpion crews listen. One of them is an old artilleryman named Tiberius. He's cross-eyed in one eye, but his other eye shoots more accurately than both eyes of anyone else. Tiberius asks, "Centurion, how do you know they'll go exactly here?" Marcus replies, "Because this is the only ford, because there are 600 of them, and they need a wide path, and because the merchant brig told me yesterday that they set out this morning from the camp to the northeast." Tiberius nods. Good answer. Marcus waits. The night before the battle, 300 men lie on the hills along the path, camouflaged by branches. Silent. Marcus lies on the right hill next to the first Scorpion. Decius is nearby. Primipolis asked to come himself, not an order, a request. Marcus didn't refuse. He needs Decius not as a fighter, but as a witness, so that after the battle there would be someone to tell what happened. Dawn. Fog rising from the river. Marcus hears them before he sees them. Footsteps, the clang of metal, voices. The Gauls are marching in a column, stretched out, sloppy. No scouts in front, or there were, but they were intercepted. The 2 legionnaires Marcus sent to intercept them did their job quietly. The Gauls enter the gorge. The front ranks pass the landmark rock. Marcus waits. He counts. 50, 100, 150, 200. He waits until as many as possible have entered the trap. His pulse is steady. His breathing is steady. This isn't his first battle, but the first in this body. 300. Halfway there. He raises his hand. Tiberius sees. The Scorpion strikes. A heavy bolt slams into the column 200 paces away. A scream. A second Scorpion strikes from the left hill. A third from the rear. 3 bolts a second. Each kills or wounds. The Gauls stop. They huddle together. The worst thing to do under fire. Marcus gives the signal. The buccina sounds. 300 legionnaires rise from the hills. Formation. Pilums. The first volley from top to bottom. 200 pilums at once. A wall of iron falls upon the huddled crowd. The scream turns to a howl. The legionnaires move down, shield to shield, gladiuses, short thrusts, discipline against chaos. The battle lasts 2 hours. Marcus isn't down below. He's on the hill, with a map, with a clipboard. He's in command, moving units around, plugging gaps. When the Gauls try to break through to the south, he sends a reserve contubernia to the exit. When the pressure eases on the right flank, he orders the 2nd Centuria to increase the pressure. He is no hero. He is a conductor. By noon, it is all over. 600 Gauls, 200 killed, 300 captured. The rest fled into the forest. Roman casualties, 4 wounded, 0 killed. 0. Decius stands nearby, silent. Marcus sees his face. 30 years in the ranks, dozens of battles. And this old soldier looks at the field as if seeing war for the first time. Not a slaughter. War. When victory goes not to the one who strikes hardest, but to the one who thinks best. In the evening, Marcus checks on the wounded, 4 of them. 2 with minor injuries, 1 moderate, 1 severe. A bolt from his own Scorpion, a ricochet. Marcus stands nearby while Helena stitches the wound. The lad's name is Gaius, 22 years old. Say Marcus remembers. Then he goes to the prisoners. 300 Gauls sit on the ground, bound. Frightened. Angry. Marcus finds the eldest among them, a warrior with a gold necklace around his neck, a chieftain. Marcus sits down in front of him. He doesn't stand over him. He sits down, crouching, so their eyes are level. And he speaks in Gaulish. Poorly, broken, but Gaulish. He'd been learning it all week, from Briga, an hour every evening. The chieftain looks at him in amazement. A Roman speaking his language. Marcus speaks simply. You lost not because you're a bad warrior. You lost because you came to where I was waiting for you. Don't come next time. Trade. It's more profitable. The chieftain is silent. Then he smirks. Then he laughs and says something to his men. Marcus doesn't understand everything, but he catches one word. Corvus. Raven. They remembered his name. Scipio receives a report. 600 Gauls defeated by 300. 0 casualties. The crossing is in Rome's hands. The legate is forced to mention Corvus's name in his report to the Senate. He has no choice, because there are 300 witnesses and he cannot leave it out. A panel flashes before Marcus's eyes. Tactical superiority. 112 out of 100. Limit increased. Artillery and indirect fire skill. Rank F, unlocked. Field fortification module. Rank F, unlocked. Marcus closes the interface. He sits down by the fire. Decius is nearby. They are silent. Then Decius speaks. Corvus, I've been fighting for 30 years. I saw Sulla. I saw Sertorius. I saw Lucullus. None of them would have done what you did today. Marcus stares into the fire. I didn't do anything, Decius. I just put the men where they needed to be, and moved them away from where they might die. Decius shakes his head. That's exactly what no one else has done. At night, Marcus lies in his tent. He isn't sleeping. The system flashes in the corner of his vision. He thinks, 200 Gauls killed. 200. Each one had a wife, a mother, children. He won the battle. He saved his men. But 200 men are dead, because their chieftain took the wrong path, because the Roman legate wanted a crossing, because the Senate wants Gaul. 200 dead for a bridge across the river. It was the same in Kandahar. It was the same in Iraq. War doesn't change, only the weapons change. He closes his eyes. Tomorrow he must bury the prisoners who died of their wounds. Tomorrow he must repair the Scorpio that jammed after the battle. Tomorrow he must write a report. Tomorrow, 40 items on the list. Minus 2 more. 38 left. The victory at Silver Fords changes everything and nothing. The legionaries look at Marcus differently. The whispers in the camp have grown louder. Corvus, the Raven, the very one. 300 against 6, 0 casualties. Soldiers from other cohorts come to his tent. They ask, is it true? Marcus doesn't answer. He sends them to Decius. Decius tells them, dryly, in a soldier's way. But a fact remains a fact, and this fact makes Scipio pale. Marcus sees it clearly. The legate isn't happy about the victory. The legate fears the victor. In Marcus's world, this was called the reverse Cassandra syndrome. When a subordinate is too good, it's a threat to the superior. Because the superior looks pale. Because everyone sees who's really in charge. Scipio begins to act, not openly, quietly, just as aristocrats do. First, Marcus is not invited to the next war council. Second, his centuria is placed in the rear guard on the march, the very last. Dust, mud, the most dishonorable place. Third, a new decurion is assigned to him. A young one, from the Cornelius family, the nephew of someone in Scipio's entourage. The guy's name is Gaius Cornelius Florus. 20 years old, clean nails, pale skin, not a single day in the ranks. Marcus understands instantly. A spy. The legate's eyes and ears inside his centuria. A classic move. At the Pentagon, they called it a seconded observer. He accepts Flor calmly. He doesn't antagonize him. He doesn't single him out. He makes him commander of the 8th Contubernium, 8 soldiers. the greenest, the weakest. If Floor wants to spy, let him spy. But first let him teach 8 boys not to die. Florus can't handle it. 3 days later, his contubernia is last in every category: drill, marching, setting up camp. Florus yells at the soldiers. They don't listen to him. He doesn't know their names. Marcus is waiting. On the 5th day, Florus goes to him. His face is red, his eyes are angry, his voice trembles. He says the soldiers don't respect him, that they're savages, that this isn't why he came from Rome. Marcus listens. Then he asks one thing. What's the name of your first soldier? The one on the left flank in the first row. Flora is silent. He doesn't know. Marcus says, his name is Lucius. He's 17. He has a mother in Capua and a younger sister. He's left-handed, and it's hard for him to hold the shield with his right hand. Put him on the right flank. There, the shield is supported by the wall. And remember his name. Then learn the names of the other 7. When you know all 8 names, come to me. I'll teach you more. Floor leaves. Marcus doesn't know what will come of this. Maybe betrayal, maybe an ally. Time will tell. And time is running out. The campaign is gaining momentum. Marcus works 18 hours a day. Morning, drill. His Centuria is practicing a new formation. Not the classic solid formation, a loose one. Groups of 8. The contubernia as a combat unit. Each group knows its sector. Each group knows how to operate autonomously. If communication is lost, the decurion makes the decision himself. For the Roman army, this is heresy. Here only the Centurion decides, only orders, only formation. Marcus is breaking this rule. Slowly, carefully, only within his own Centuria. He explains to the decurions, if I am killed or wounded, you do not stand and wait for a new order. You act according to the plan. If there is no plan, you defend your 8 men and fall back to the nearest unit. Initiative at the squad level. This is how any modern army fights. No one in this world fights like this. Yet. Day. Supply train. Livia. Marcus spends 2 hours with her every day. They're building a system, way stations, staging areas, mule rotation. Livia picks it up instantly. She doesn't just memorize, she improves on it. By the 3rd week, she proposes her own idea. Color-coding the boxes. Red is medicine, blue is grain, white is weapons. A simple color-coding system. Marcus looks at her. In the 21st century, this is called a visual management system. Here, it was invented by a tribune's widow who had never heard the word logistics. He smiles. For the first time in many days. Livia. That's brilliant. She looks up. For the first time in a month. She looks at him. Something flashes in her eyes. She looks down. She returns to the board. But the corner of her mouth twitches. Almost a smile. Evening. Helena. The hospital is growing. Marcus has secured a 2nd tent for her. Now the wounded are separate from the sick. Basic triage. Helena grumbles, but works. She's teaching 2 legionnaires how to bandage. Orderlies. A word that doesn't exist in Latin. Marcus comes up with a term. Medics. Doctor's assistants. Helena teaches them to wash their hands. They don't understand why. She says that hands bring death if they're dirty. They think she's crazy. But they do it, because Corvus ordered it, and Corvus is winning, and Corvus's men don't die from scratches. Night. Marcus is in the tent. A small tablet. Style. He is planning. Not for tomorrow, not for next week. He is planning 3 months ahead, because in 3 months the campaign will end. Scipio will send the report to the Senate, and then another war will begin. War in Rome. A war without swords or scorpions, where the weapons are words and gold and connections that Marcus lacks. He must be ready. In 2 weeks, What he has been waiting for and fearing will happen. Scipio summons him, one-on-one. The legate's tent. Night. Scipio sits at the table. There is wine on the table, good wine, Falernian. 2 cups. Marcus enters. He salutes. He sits down. Scipio pours him some wine. Marcus doesn't drink. He waits. Scipio starts from afar. He praises him. He talks about the silver fords, about how Marcus handled the supply train, about what a talented Centurion he is. Marcus listens and counts. Every compliment is a step. The staircase leads somewhere. He waits for Scipio to reach the top. Scipio gets there. Corvus, you are talented. Too talented for a Centurion. You need a patron, someone who will appreciate you, someone who will help you in Rome. Someone from the Cornelius family. Marcus understands. An offer. Become mine. My victories will be mine. My plans will be mine. My name in the reports will be your name. You will be the brains. I will be the face. A classic arrangement in any army, in any century. A capable officer and a mediocre commander. The commander takes the glory. The officer gets the career. Marcus thinks, it's a good deal. Scipio, for all his mediocrity, is a Cornelius. He's the gateway to the Senate. It's protection. It's money. In exchange, Marcus loses his freedom. Every plan of his will belong to Scipio. Every victory will be Scipio's victory. And if Scipio orders a cohort to be thrown into the fray, Marcus will have to obey or lose his patron. He looks at Scipio, a young face, soft, hands without calluses, eyes cunning but not intelligent. Cunning without intelligence is a dangerous combination. Marcus replies, "Thank you, Legate. It is a great honor. Let me think about it until morning." Scipio smiles. "Of course, Corvus. Until morning." Marcus exits. The night air is cold. He walks through the camp. He thinks, not about Scipio, about the system. The panel in his peripheral vision flashes. Tactical superiority is growing. Skills are leveling up. But slowly. Because he's a Centurion. Because his ceiling is 80 men. For the system to grow faster, he needs scale, a cohort, a legion. And for a legion, he needs Rome. He needs connections. He needs patrons. But not Scipio, not this one. He needs someone else, someone smarter, someone more dangerous, someone who isn't on the horizon yet. He finds Decius. Primipolis isn't sleeping. He sits by the dying fire and sharpens his gladius. Marcus sits down beside him. He speaks. "Decius, Scipio offered me his patronage." Decius isn't surprised. He says, "I know. Everyone knows. He offered it to every talented officer before you. 3 agreed. 2 of them are dead. The 3rd drank himself to death." Marcus nods. He doesn't ask why. He already knows. Scipio uses people. Squeezes them dry. Throws them away. He says to Decius, "I'll refuse." Decius looks at him for a long time. Then he says, "Then watch your back, Corvus. The Cornelii don't forgive refusals." Marcus nods. "I know." In the morning he goes to Scipio, salutes him, thanks him for the honor, refuses. Gently, respectfully. He says he is unworthy of the patronage of such a great house, that he is a simple soldier, that he has no place alongside the Cornelii. Scipio smiles, subtly, coldly. "False modesty, Corvus. I will remember." Marcus leaves. He knows, from this moment on, he is not just a Centurion without a patron. He is an enemy of the house of Corn, a silent one, an undeclared one, but an enemy nonetheless. In 3 days, he is placed in the vanguard, no longer the rear guard, the vanguard. This is no honor. It is a firing line. First contact with the enemy, first casualties. Marcus takes it calmly. The vanguard. Excellent. The vanguard means reconnaissance. Reconnaissance means information. Information means control. He sets up sentries. Not like everyone else, not 2 horsemen a mile ahead. He sets up 3 rings, near, middle, far. 4 men in each ring, movement only in pairs.
A signaling system. Fire. Smoke. A mirror in the sun. A horn whistle. 3 alert levels. Green. Quiet. Yellow. Alert. Red. Battle. Decius looks at this and shakes his head. He says, "Corvus, you set up reconnaissance as if you were building a fortress." Marcus replies, "Reconnaissance is a fortress, Decius, only an invisible one." On the 4th day, the Middle Ring's vanguard patrol spots movement. Yellow alert. Marcus moves out himself, with 4 men, quietly, half a mile from the main column. A Gallic detachment stands in a ravine by a stream. 30 men. An ambush. They're waiting for the column. A classic position. Forest on both sides, a narrow passage. If not for the Middle Ring's patrol, the Legion would have marched right into it. Marcus returns. He reports. Scipio wants to attack. Marcus suggests a detour. The column makes a half-mile detour. The Gauls sit in the ravine and wait. No one comes. By evening, they leave. No battle, no casualties. Scipio is furious. He needed a victory, a small one, a glorious one, for his report. Marcus deprived him of that. But Marcus saved the men, who will never know they were a step away from death. The panel flashes before his eyes. Intelligence operations have been escalated. Rank F to E. New module, Operational Planning. Rank F. Marcus closes the panel. He looks at the camp. His camp is different now. The moat is deeper. The palisade is stronger. Guards on schedule. The system of lights on the rampart. Forward outposts 200 paces from the perimeter. His Centurion knows what to do in an emergency without a single order. Every contubernia knows its sector. Every decurion knows the plan. Flora's 8th contubernia is still the worst, but no longer hopeless. Flora memorized all 8 names. He went to Marcus. He said the names. Marcus nodded. He taught him 3 things. Check the water, check your feet, check your weapons. Every evening. Personally. Flora left with these 3 rules and a look on his face as if something had shifted. Marcus doesn't know which way, but something shifted. Night, tent, a small board, a list, 32 items, 32 left, and Scipio sharpening a knife in the dark. The campaign is entering its 3rd month. The rains won't stop. The roads are turning into rivers. Marcus calculates. With this much moisture, the ground can bear half the load. That means every wagon in the convoy sinks deeper. That means the mules tire faster. That means the marching speed drops from 20 miles a day to 12. He tells Livia, "Reduce the load on each wagon by 1/3. Transfer the excess to the mules. Have 2 mules per team." Livia nods. She does as told. Marcus's convoy moves on. The rest remains stuck. 3 cohorts are bogged down on the road north of Padus. Scipio is furious. He issues orders. Marcus helps silently. He sends his engineer soldiers to cut down trees for those. Wooden planks across the marshy sections. The simplest engineering. Logs, branches, rows. 2 hours of work. The road is passable. Scipio doesn't thank him. Marcus doesn't expect it. In the 2nd week of rain, illness strikes. Fever. It starts in the 5th cohort. 2, then 5, then 15.
Helena comes to Marcus at night. Her face is gray. Her eyes are red from lack of sleep. She speaks. Dysentery. Water. They don't boil it. They drink from the stream downstream from the latrines. Marcus clenches his joints. His Centuria boils water. His Centuria is healthy. But the rest? He goes to Decius, in the middle of the night. Decius isn't sleeping.
Primipillus already knows, Marcus says. Decius, I need an order for the Legion. Mandatory boiling of water. Latrines downstream from the camp, no higher. Decius shakes his head. Scipio won't sign it. Marcus speaks. In a week, a third of the Legion will be down, without a fight, without an enemy, from their own filth. Decius knows. For 30 years he's seen soldiers die of dysentery more often than by the sword. He stands up. He goes to Scipio. Marcus doesn't know what he's saying to the legate, but in the morning the order comes out, signed by Scipio, as if it were his idea. Marcus doesn't object. He doesn't need glory for boiled water. He needs living soldiers. A week later, the fever subsides. 12 dead. It could have been 50. Marcus stands by the fresh graves. 12 names. He knows every one. Because Helena writes down every name, and Marcus reads them every evening. He'll get used to it. He knows. He won't get... He knows that too. 3 days after the fever recedes, Marcus finds a bowl by his tent. Hot porridge. Fresh. Not the standard issue kind, with honey. No one is around. He looks around. A redhead from his Centuria is sitting by the far campfire. The very same one who asked about dying in battle during the first roll call. The redhead's name is Titus Pomponius. He looks away, pretends to be cleaning his belt. Marcus takes the bowl, eats. Porridge with honey. The best thing he's eaten this century. He doesn't say thank you out loud. He nods to Pomponius across the camp. Pomponius nods back. Nothing more. Nothing else is needed. The campaign is nearing its conclusion. The Insubres have gone quiet after their defeat at the fords. The Boii are bound by treaty. The Chinomani remain in the west, a small tribe, 100 warriors. But the terrain is difficult. Mountains, passes, narrow valleys. Scipio wants to end the campaign with a victory, a resounding one, for the Senate. He plans a punitive expedition into the mountains, with the entire legion. Marcus listens to the plan at the council and does the math. A legion in the mountains means a 20-day march. The supply trains won't make it through the passes. Supplies only on their backs. Every legionary carries his own rations, 15 days' worth of food, for a 20-day march. A 5-day shortfall, in the mountains, in winter, in sub-zero temperatures. Against an enemy who knows every trail. This is not a victory. It's the Teutoburg forest on the vertical. Marcus doesn't say this at the council. He's learned his lesson. Don't argue with the general in front of everyone. Argue with the general through the person the general listens to. He goes to Decius. Decius listens, understands, goes to Scipio. Marcus doesn't know the details of the conversation, but 2 days later the plan changes. Not a punitive campaign, a show of force. The legion advances to the foothills, builds a fortified camp, stands, waits. Marcus proposes a third element, negotiations. He sends Briga to the Cenomans with a proposal. Rome doesn't want bloodshed. Rome wants peace. A symbolic tribute. No hostages needed. Free trade. Passage through their lands. The Cenomans think it over for a week. They see a camp of 3,000 soldiers at the foot of their mountains. They see the moats, towers, scorpions on the walls. And they agree. Because fighting this is pointless. Scipio secures peace without losses. Formally, it is his victory.
The wise legate has achieved peace without bloodshed. The report to the Senate will be impressive. Marcus stands on the rampart of the camp and looks at the mountains. Livia is behind him. She approaches quietly. She stands beside him. She says nothing. She just stands there. Marcus doesn't turn around. They stand in silence. A minute. 2. Then Livia speaks. The supply train is ready for the return march. Provisions for 22 days. A 15% reserve. Marcus nods. Good. Livia doesn't leave. Another minute, then she speaks. Corvus, my husband died in the 3rd week of the campaign. Here, in these mountains. His cohort went on a punitive raid. No supplies, no reconnaissance, no plan. He came back on a stretcher. 3 days. The bandages never arrived. She falls silent. Marcus is silent. Because words aren't needed here. Because nothing he says will bring her husband back. Livia speaks. You're not like the other Centurions, Corvus. You think before you give orders. Marcus turns, looks at her. Dark eyes, a weary face. 30 years in another life. 24 here. She looks older than her years. War ages you, he says. I think because every number is a person, Livia. Your husband was a number in someone's calculation. I don't want my men to be numbers. She looks at him. For a long time, something changes in her face. Not a smile, not tears. Something else. A decision. She nods. She leaves. Marcus stays on the rampart. The system flashes. He doesn't look. The return march, 20 days. Marcus uses every one. He trains the Centuria on the march, drill maneuvers, formation, reaction to an ambush, a new drill every evening. The soldiers grumble, but they do it. Because Corvus's Centuria has lost 2 men in 3 months. 2. The entire legion has lost 96. The math speaks for itself. On the 10th day of the march, Flor comes to him in the evening. Her face is different. Not haughty, not angry. Tired. Human. He sits down. He is silent. Then he speaks. Centurion, my uncle asked me to report on your every move. I did, for the first 2 weeks. Marcus isn't surprised. He knew from day 1. He waits. Flor continues. I wrote that you boil water, that you set up strange guard posts, that you talk to slave girls and merchants, that the female doctor walks around the camp unescorted. My uncle read it and laughed. He said you're an oddball and will break soon. Flor falls silent. Then he speaks more quietly. Lucius from my cohort, a left-hander. The one you ordered to be placed on the right flank. Yesterday on the march, he tripped and sprained his ankle. I carried him to Helena, by myself, on my back, because he's my soldier and I know his name. Marcus looks at Flor. The guy is 20 years old. 3 months ago, he was a spy with cleaned fingernails. Now he has calluses on his palms and dirt under his nails, and he carried a wounded soldier on his own back. Marcus says, You're not reporting to the old man anymore. Flor says, No, since last week. Marcus nods. Good. Flor, we've a week we'll be in Rome. You'll have to choose, family or the Legion. Flor is silent. He stands up. He leaves. He stops at the canopy. He says, I've already chosen Centurion. He leaves. Marcus sits alone. He smiles. One less enemy. One more man. The return march ends on the 20th day. The Legion enters its winter quarters near Aquileia. The 4th month of the campaign is over. Marcus stands at the gate and counts his men. 63 men entered the campaign with him. 61 are coming out. 2 are lost. 1 to illness in the first week before the protocol was implemented. 1 from an accident at the crossing. 0 combat casualties. In his Centurion, 0 combat casualties for the entire campaign. A panel flashes before his eyes. Tactical superiority, 238. Limit raised. Modern logistics, rank D. Human intelligence, rank D. Field fortifications, rank E. Artillery and indirect fire, rank E. New module, unlocked. Operational planning, rank E. New module, unlocked. Combat medicine and morale, rank E. Marcus closes the panel. Before him lies Aquileia, the city. Stone walls, the marketplace, taverns, bathhouses, people not wearing armor, children, women in clean clothes, the smell of bread, not blood. Bread. Decius stands nearby. Tremipulus looks at the city, then at Marcus. He speaks. Corvus, the Senate is sending awards. Scipio will receive a triumph, or an ovation, or at least a thanksgiving prayer. You will receive a golden wreath, corona aurea, for the silver fords. Marcus nods. Corona aurea. The highest honor for a non-aristocratic soldier. A golden wreath awarded for saving the legion. He understands what this means. His name is now known in Rome. His name is now known to the people who decide who lives and who dies in this republic. That's good. And it's dangerous. Marcus looks at Aquileia. Beyond this city lies Rome. Beyond Rome lies the Senate. Beyond the Senate lies the future. He thinks about the system, about the panel flashing before his eyes, about the skills that are growing, about how every victory makes him stronger, and every victory makes him more visible. And the more visible he becomes, the more people want to control him or destroy him. Livia walks by with a small board. The supply train is being prepared for winter storage. Helena leads the wounded to the city hospital. Decius gives orders for their placement. Florus leads his cohort to the barracks. 8 men, all alive. Marcus stands at the gate, alone. A voice inside speaks softly. The 4th month, 61 men, 0 combat casualties. The system is growing. The enemies are growing. Rome lies ahead. And in Rome, someone already knows his name, someone he hasn't met yet. Marcus adjusts his gladius. He enters the gates of Aquileia. The Cisalpine campaign is over. The next war begins now. Rome greets him with a smell, smoke and spices and sweat and incense and rotting vegetables and fresh bread, all at once. Marcus stands at the Flaminian Gate and looks out over the city. 1 million people, the largest city on the planet. 6-story insulae, streets 2 paces wide. The forum is packed with people like a stadium on game day. A switch flips in his head. Narrow passageways, a crowd, no line of sight. The perfect environment for an assassination attempt. He snaps himself out of it. This isn't Kabul. This is Rome. For now. The golden wreath is awarded on the 3rd day. The ceremony is brief. Scipio stands in the center. He speaks at length about his wisdom, about his resolve, about his campaign. The name Corvus is mentioned only once at the very end, as an afterthought. Marcus stands in the 3rd row. He accepts the wreath from the questor's hands, not Scipio's, the questor's. Even at the ceremony, the legate doesn't want to stand next to him. Marcus puts on the wreath. It's heavy. The gold presses against his temples. Hundreds of eyes are watching him. Senators, tribunes, horsemen, their wives. He feels those gazes like sights. Everyone is assessing. Who is this plebeian? Where is he from? Whose is he? To whom is he useful? To whom is he dangerous? In the evening, the first reception, the house of Gaius Aurelius Cotta, a consul, a former consul.
One of the pillars of the Senate. Marcus is invited as a hero of the campaign, formal courtesy. He enters the atrium and stops. Marble, frescoes, a mosaic on the floor, a fountain in the center. Slaves in white tunics serve wine in silver bowls. After 4 months in mud and blood, it's like a slap in the face. He walks through the crowd, nods, returns greetings, speaks little, listens a lot. 20 minutes later, he knows the lay of the land. 3 factions in the hall. The optimates around old Catullus, the populares around the absent Crassus, whose name comes up in every other conversation. And the middle ground, those who are waiting, those who haven't chosen a side. Cotta is one of them. A voice behind him, a woman's, sharp, in Greek. She asks,
"Tell me, Centurion, have you read Polybius in the original or in the Latin translation?"
Marcus turns around. Aurelia Cotta, 22 years old, the host's niece. Dark hair styled in the Roman fashion, slender fingers hold a cup. Intelligent eyes. Dangerous. Marcus answers in Greek. In the original, Book 6, an analysis of the Roman state, the best work on military theory before Clausewitz. He swallows the last word. Just in time.
Aurelia tilts her head slightly. Until when? Marcus smiles. Until someone writes something better. She looks at him, assessing him. Not as a woman looks at a man, but as a soldier appraises a soldier. He sees it. He recognizes it. He has seen that look in the eyes of the best officers at the Pentagon. People who feel confined by their positions. People who know more than they are allowed to apply. They speak for an hour. Marcus forgets about the rest of the people in the room. Aurelia knows history, not superficially, deeply. She analyzes Hannibal's campaigns with a precision that would have impressed his students at West Point. She asks about the silver forks, not about the feet, about the logistics. How much supply did you have? How did you deploy the Scorpions? Why 3 and not 4? Marcus answers. Every answer sparks a new question. She argues. He argues back. They stand in the corner of the atrium and argue about whether Hannibal was the greatest tactician in history. Marcus says no. Hannibal was the greatest operator. The greatest tactician is the one who avoids battle when it can be avoided. Aurelia falls silent. She looks at him. You're a strange Centurion, Corvus. Marcus nods. I've been told. She doesn't smile, but her eyes warm up a degree. Then she says something he wasn't expecting.
"Aurelia, you have access to the Kot trading house in Massalia. I need data on grain shipments to the coast over the last 10 years.
She looks at him for 3 seconds. She blinks. Then, "Why?" Marcus says.
I'm building a supply model for the Legion on the march through Gaul. I need to know where and when grain is cheaper, where the warehouses are, where the transshipment points are. Polybius describes Scipio Africanus's logistics, but doesn't give figures. I need figures."
Aurelia is silent. Then she speaks softly.
"You're the first man to ask me for something that isn't related to my face or my dowry."
Marcus doesn't answer that, because any answer would be wrong. He says, "Data. 10 years. Massalia. You can." She nods.
"I can."
3 days later, Aurelia sends him the tablets, not just data, analysis. She calculated the seasonal price fluctuations herself. She found the patterns herself. She compiled the table herself. Marcus reads and understands.
In the 21st century,
This woman would have been an analyst at Joint Command Headquarters. Here, she is the consul's niece, who in a year will be married off to someone with the right name. Meanwhile, Marcus settles in Rome. He rents a house, a small one, on the Aventine, the plebeian hill. No money for the Palatine. No point in moving where every neighbor is an aristocrat and a potential enemy. The Aventine, his own people, veterans, merchants, artisans. He begins hosting people at his home, veterans from the campaign, young Centurions, the sons of equestrians who are bored and have heard of Corvus. For to quote, these are dinners. In fact, they are lectures. Marcus talks about the silver forks. He breaks it down step by step. Not bragging, analysis. What worked? What didn't work? What can be improved? The young men listen with their mouths agape. The veterans nod. This is the first prototype of an academy. Marcus doesn't know it yet. 2 weeks later, Helena comes to see him in Rome. She didn't stay with the Legion. She left. Marcus asks, why? Helena says, the new medical commander canceled all my protocols. Everything. Boiling, sorting, clean bandages. He said they were women's nonsense. Marcus clenches his teeth. 4 months of work, dozens of lives saved, wiped out by a single order from one man. He says, stay, work with me. I'll find you a place. Helena looks at him. What kind of place, Corvus? You're a centurion without a legion. You have no money, no connections, no power. Marcus nods. Not yet. Helena smiles, for the first time, a crooked smile. For now. A good word. She stays. A month later, in Rome, Marcus makes 2 discoveries. The first, he's being followed. Not by Scipio, someone else, professionally, quietly. He spots the same man 3 times, at the market, at the baths, at Cotta's house. An unmemorable face, average clothes. People like that are invisible in a crowd. Marcus knows this type. An operative observer. Someone in Rome is compiling a dossier on him. The second discovery is worse. At night, he has a dream. Not an ordinary one, too clear, too coherent. He is standing on a battlefield, not a Roman one, a foreign one. Sand beneath his feet, heat, an army in formation, sarissas, long spears, a phalanx, Macedonian. Standing nearby is a man in a gilded helmet, young, light eyes, a scar on his forehead. This man turns to him and speaks, not in Greek, in a language Marcus shouldn't understand, but he does. He says, "You are the 4th." Marcus wakes up, sweat on his forehead. His heart is pounding. The panel flashes in the darkness. New notification, memory fragment from Carrier 1. Received. Marcus lies in the darkness, stares at the ceiling. Carrier 1. Alexander. That man in the gilded helmet stood next to Alexander the Great and told him, "You are the 4th." So there were others before him. There were. And they didn't survive. Marcus gets up, lights the lamp, takes a small tablet, writes, Carrier 1, Macedonia, the age of Alexander. Result? Unknown. Presumably a failure. He doesn't know the details, yet, but he knows the system isn't a gift. The system is a test, and the previous ones failed the test. He blows out the lamp, lies down, doesn't sleep until morning. Thinks about the system, about Rome, about Aurelia, who sent him a second batch of data with notes in the margins. She wrote, "I found something else. Interesting. Come over. We'll discuss it." He thinks about Livia, who stayed in Aquileia with the supply train and to whom he wrote a letter. The first one. A business letter. a list of things to prepare for the next campaign. At the end, a single line. I hope you're okay. He thinks about how there are 1,000,000 people in Rome, and every one of them is playing in their own game. And he is now part of that game, whether he wants to be or not. In the morning, a letter arrives, an official one, with the senatorial seal. Centurion Marcus Valerius Corvus is invited to an audience with Senator Tiberius Calpurnius Piso, tomorrow, the 3rd hour. Marcus reads it twice. Piso. He knows that name. Calpur. One of the oldest families, the Optimatus, guardians of the Republic. People who saw Sulla and swore it would never happen again. People who see a dictator in every successful commander. Marcus places the letter on the table. The system flashes in the corner of his eye. He doesn't look. He thinks. Piso wants to see him. That means Piso is studying him. That means Piso sees something in him. A threat, or a tool, or both. Marcus adjusts his toga, someone else's, a borrowed one, his first toga. Centurions don't wear togas. Centurions wear armor. But in Rome, he is not a centurion. In Rome, he is a guest. And tomorrow, he is going to see a man who could become his patron, or his executioner. Piso's house on the Palatine Hill. Old, austere, no ostentatious luxury. Plain marble, faded frescoes. The furniture is massive and rough. The home of a man who doesn't spend money on beauty. Marcus walks through the atrium. Few slaves. That, too, speaks volumes. Piso doesn't like extra eyes. Piso doesn't like extra ears. The senator is waiting in the tablinum. A study, a desk, scrolls, slates, the smell of ink and old parchment. Piso is 53, thin, upright, a face carved from stone. Light eyes, cold, intelligent, very intelligent. Marcus sees this at first glance. This man is no Scipio. This man is dangerous. Piso does not stand. He doesn't extend his hand. He nods. Sit down, Corvus. Marcus sits down. Piso looks at him for a long time, silently, studying him. Marcus holds his ground. He isn't the first general Marcus has seen up close. Piso begins, not with compliments, not with pleasantries, with numbers. He names the legion's losses for the campaign, exact, 96. He names the losses of Marcus's Centuria, 2. He names the cost of the campaign. He names the cost of the peace treaty with the Boii, 3 denarii. He knows everything. Marcus understands. He wasn't just being watched, he was being studied. Every step, every decision, every order. Someone in Scipio's entourage was reporting to Piso. Maybe Decius. Maybe someone else. Piso speaks. Corvus. In 4 months, you've done what Scipio couldn't in 3. You made peace. You saved lives. You built a supply system that works. And you did it as a centurion with no name and no money. Marcus is silent. He waits. Piso continues. That scares me. Silence. Marcus doesn't flinch. He doesn't make excuses. He waits. Piso speaks. Rome has seen men like you, young, talented, beloved by the soldiers. Sulla was like that. Then he drenched Rome in blood. Marius was like that. Then he drenched Rome in blood. Pompey is like that now. He hasn't drenched it yet, but he will. Each of them started out like you, a talented officer, a hero of the campaign, a golden wreath. And then the legions began to shout his name. And then the Republic ended. Marcus listens, and something inside him grows cold. Because Piso is right. Absolutely right.
Marcus knows history better than anyone in this room.
He knows how the Republic will end. He knows that in 15 years, Caesar will cross the Rubicon. He knows the Republic is doomed. And he knows that Piso's fear is not unfounded. Marcus speaks. Senator, you're right. Marcus sees Piso blink. He wasn't expecting agreement. Marcus continues. You're right to be afraid. Any man loved by the legions is a threat to the Republic. It's math, not character. Math. Even if that man doesn't want power, his legions want it for him. And then it no longer matters what he wants. Piso looks at him. For the first time, something flickers in his icy eyes. Surprise. Marcus says. That's why I don't want a legion. Piso is silent. Marcus says, I want a school. Silence. A long one. Piso speaks slowly. A school. Marcus explains, not in detail, not everything, just enough for Piso to digest. A school where Centurions study logistics, intelligence, medicine, fortification. A school that produces not a single genius, but 100 competent officers. A school that builds a system, not a hero. Because a hero is a danger, and a system is safety. Piso listens. His face is impassive. Marcus speaks. Senator, you don't need me.
You need every tribune and every legion to know what I know after I'm gone. Then none of them will become irreplaceable. None will become a dictator. Because why follow a single genius when 10 ordinary officers can do the same thing? Piso is silent for a minute. 2. 3. Then he speaks. You are either the smartest man I've ever met, or the most dangerous. Perhaps both. Marcus doesn't smile. Senator, I am a soldier. I want soldiers to come home. I don't need power for that. I need a school. Piso stands up, walks to the window, stands there for a long time, looks out at Rome. Then he says, without turning around, I'll think about it, Corvus. Leave. Marcus stands up, bows, exits. Out on the street, he exhales. His hands aren't shaking, but they should be. He has just proposed to Rome's most dangerous senator an idea that could either save his life or hasten his death. He doesn't know which option Piso will choose. Not yet. In 2 days, the first assassination attempt. Night. An alley near the Aventine. Marcus is returning from Aurelia's. They'd spent 4 hours poring over data from Massalia. He's tired. His head is full of numbers. That's why he notices the shadow half a second later than he should. Half a second is a long time. The knife glints in the moonlight. Marcus steps to the left. Instinct. Corvus's body is trained. The blade cuts through the toga, not the skin. Marcus snatches his arm, twists it. The attacker is large, a professional. A second strike, from below, to the stomach. Marcus slams his forehead into the man's face, a crunch. The attacker recoils. Marcus draws his gladius. He always left the house armed, always. From his first day in Rome. The attacker sees the blade. He retreats. He runs. Marcus doesn't chase him. He stands in the alley, breathing. Blood on his toga. Someone else's. The toga is torn. He stares into the darkness where the assassin fled. Who? Scipio. Piso. A third man? He doesn't know. But he knows one thing. Time is up. Rome is no place for a man without protection. In the morning, he goes to the slave market in Aquileia. A letter from Decius informs him that Primipolis has remained with the legion at their winter quarters. Marcus is alone. The slave market. He hates this place. Every fiber of his being that isn't his own hates it. But he needs people. People who will be indebted to him. People he can train. people with no past and no choice. In the 21st century, he would be horrified by himself. Here, it is the only way. He walks along the rows. He looks. He assesses. Not the bodies, the eyes. He walks past strong men, past beautiful women. He stops at a cage at the end of the row. Small, dirty. A woman is inside. Thin, dirty. Black hair. An unfamiliar face. Not Roman, not Greek, not Gallic. Narrow eyes, high cheekbones. She sits against the wall and looks at him. Not down, not to the side. Straight into his eyes. Her gaze is cold, appraising, like a sniper's. Marcus asks the merchant, "Who is she?" The merchant waves his hand. Trash, a Parthian, or from somewhere farther away. Her fourth owner. She ran from each one. The last one sentenced her to death. Not worth the money. Marcus asks the price. The merchant names it. Ridiculous. Marcus pays. Opens the cage. The woman stands up, not quickly, not slowly. Like a spring, ready for anything. Marcus says, "What's your name?" She is silent. Marcus speaks in 3 languages, Latin, Greek, Aramaic. On the 4th, she answers, Parthian. Sun-a. Marcus nods. Sun-a. Let's go. She follows him, silently. Marcus doesn't turn around, but he feels her gaze on the back of his neck. She makes up her mind. He knows what she's decided. To run, or to wait, or to kill him at night. He takes her to his house, shows her a room, small, clean, with a door that locks from the inside. He says, "You're free to go wherever you want." The door locks only from the inside. Only you have the key. If you want to leave, go. I won't look for you. She looks at him. Marcus says, "I need someone who knows how to listen and see what others don't see. Someone who knows languages, who knows how to move unnoticed, who knows the eastern lands. I am not a master. I am a commander. If you agree to work, I will pay you. If not, I'll give you your freedom and 10 denarii. It's up to you." She remains silent for 3 days. For 3 days, she sits in her room. She only comes out to eat. She doesn't speak. On the morning of the 4th day, she stands at his table. She says, "Tell me what you want to know." Marcus says, "Everything. Who's been following me for the last 2 weeks? Who sent the assassin? Who in Rome is interested in the Centurion from the Aventine?" She nods. She leaves. She returns a day later. She sits down. She speaks. 2 men are following you. One is from Scipio, young, inexperienced. He stands on the corner eating nuts. The second is more serious. He works for someone in the Senate. Not Piso, someone else. The assassin was a Thracian, a mercenary from Lentulus's gladiator school. They paid 50 denarii. The client is unknown. For now. Marcus looks at her. Just 1 day. She's gathered more intelligence than he has in a month. He asks, "How?" She says, "I'm small. I'm dirty. I'm a slave. No one looks at me. That's my weapon." Marcus nods. From this day forward, Sun-a is the head of his intelligence, formerly a slave. In fact, an officer. He doesn't give her her freedom, not yet, because a freed woman attracts attention. A slave is invisible. She understands. She agrees. Marcus works every day. The school on the Aventine grows. 20 students, then 30. Young centurions and the sons of horsemen. Aurelia brings data. Helena lectures on field medicine. Sun-a listens and memorizes the names of everyone who comes. 2 months later,
A letter arrives in Rome. Not from the Senate, from the army. Gaius Julius Caesar, still just a praetor for now.
Not that Caesar yet, but already dangerous, already ambitious, already clever. The letter is short. Centurion Corvus, I've heard of the silver fords. Interesting. Come for dinner. Marcus reads the letter twice. Caesar. That's the man he's been waiting for and fearing at the same time. The man who, in 10 years, will turn the world upside down. The man whom Marcus knows better than anyone in this city, because he has read every line written about him and every line written by him. Marcus places the letter on the table. He looks at Sun-Ah. She is standing by the door, silently. He speaks. Sun-Ah, find out everything for me about Caesar's current affairs, his debts, his allies, his enemies, his plans. She nods. She leaves. Marcus stands alone. The system flashes. He closes his eyes. Caesar. This is the beginning, or the end. In a week, he'll find out. Lunch at Caesar's, a house in Subura. Not luxurious, not poor, neat. Caesar spends his money on people, not on marble. Marcus enters, and the first thing he sees are books. Scrolls, everywhere, on every shelf, on every table. Caesar is reading, a lot, voraciously. That's the first thing they have in common. Caesar greets him personally. 36 years old. Tall. Thin. A receding hairline that he hides with a comb over. Eyes. Marcus stops. Eyes. He's seen eyes like that once before in his life, on General Petraeus in Baghdad. The eyes of a man who thinks faster than he speaks, who sees 3 moves ahead, who never asks a question without knowing the answer. Caesar smiles, warmly. Warm, sincere, and Marcus knows that every second of this warmth is calculated. They have lunch. Simple. Bread, olives, fish, diluted wine. Caesar asks about the campaign, not like Piso, not numbers. Details. What the mud at Padus smelled like. What the Gallic battle cry sounds like. What the face of a legionnaire looks like who knows he might die tomorrow. Caesar listens. He doesn't interrupt. He memorizes. Marcus sees it. This man absorbs information like a sponge absorbs water. Every detail, every nuance, every scent. Because Caesar is going to Gaul, in a year, 2. He doesn't know when yet, but he knows where, and he wants to know how. Marcus speaks cautiously. He provides information, not all of it, enough to be useful, not enough to be dangerous. He describes Gallic tactics, ambushes, raids, use of the terrain. Caesar listens, and Marcus sees the machine at work behind those warm eyes. Every word fits into a plan, a scheme, a future campaign. Then Caesar asks, Corvus, what would you change about the Roman army if you could? Marcus thinks. It's a test, an obvious one. Caesar wants to know his scope, wants to know his ambitions, wants to know his limits. Marcus answers. 3 things: logistics, intelligence, medicine. Caesar waits. Marcus speaks. Logistics. An army that cannot feed itself cannot fight. Every legate must know how much grain his legion needs for 10 days and where to get it. Right now, no one keeps track. Intelligence. An army that doesn't know where the enemy is loses before the battle even begins. Right now, intelligence means sending out horsemen and waiting. We need a network, observers, informants, merchants, locals, maps, real maps with distances and terrain, not drawings on leather. Medicine. An army that loses men to filth loses them for nothing. Boiling water, clean bandages, a doctor with every cohort, triage of the wounded. Caesar is silent. Marcus sees. He has absorbed it. Everything,
every word. Caesar speaks. You didn't mention tactics. Marcus shakes his head. A Roman legionary knows the tactics. Formation, pilum, gladius. It works. The problem isn't how we fight. The problem is how we march into battle and what we do afterward. Caesar smiles. Subtle. Corvus, I want to offer you the tribune's office. Marcus isn't surprised. He's been waiting for this. The tribune's office, an officer's position, a step up from Centurion, command of a cohort, real power, and a connection to Caesar. Marcus says, "Thank you. On one condition." Caesar raises an eyebrow. Marcus says, "I choose the cohort myself, and I bring my own people, a doctor, a quartermaster, an engineer." Caesar looks at him. 3 seconds, 5, then he nods. Agreed. Marcus stands up, bows, exits. He stands in the street, breathes. Caesar. He has just struck a deal with the man who will destroy the Republic. And he did it knowingly. Because he needs scale. Because without scale, the system doesn't grow. Because a centurion with 80 men won't change the world. But a tribune with a cohort can. And because in 3 years, Caesar will march into Gaul, and Marcus will go with him. And there on the fields of Gaul, he will build what will later become the foundation. A legion, a real one.
His own, by his own rules. He is going home. On the way, he thinks, Piso or Caesar, enemy of the Republic or its defender. He chose the enemy, because the enemy will give him the tools, and the defender will give him only walls. Marcus comes home. Sun-Ah is waiting. She speaks. The second observer, the one from the Senate. He's from Crassus. Marcus nods. Crassus, the richest man in Rome. The third player. So all 3 sides have noticed him. The Optimates, Caesar, Crassus. 3 predators. And he's in the middle. At night, a second dream, clear again, a stranger again. He's standing on the city wall. Heat, sun, the sea below, Carthage. A man in a purple cloak stands nearby, black-haired, a beard, eyes like coals. Hannibal. No, not Hannibal. Someone next to Hannibal. A second messenger. The man turns to Marcus. He speaks, "Don't trust your own. Your own will kill you first." And the wall is crumbling. Marcus wakes up. Sweat. Darkness. The panel is flashing. Memory fragment from Carrier 2. Received. A Carthaginian. The second carrier. Betrayed by his own. Killed by his own. Marcus lies in the darkness. 2 of the 3 previous ones failed. 1 under Alexander, 1 under Hannibal. The third is unknown, an Etruscan, name erased. Marcus writes on a tablet, "Don't trust your own." Good advice. Terrible advice. Because without trust, you cannot command. But with trust, you can die. He thinks of Decius, of Helena, of Livia, of Sun-Ah, of Aurelia, of Flora. Any one of them could betray him. Any one of them could be a tool in someone else's hands. Who to trust? Marcus closes his eyes. Trust those who have proven themselves. By deed, not by word, by deed. In the morning, he begins preparing for the campaign. 6 months until the campaign. He makes the most of every day. The school on the Aventine is up and running. 30 students become 40, then 50. Aurelia comes every other day. She brings data, maps, analyses. Marcus looks at her and sees. She is changing. She is no longer a bored patrician girl. She has a purpose, a real one, the first in her life. He gives her an official title,
Analyst, a word that doesn't exist in Latin. He invents it. Exploratrix conciliaria, scout advisor. Aurelia looks at the plaque with the title. She is silent. Then she speaks.
You have created a position that does not exist, for a woman, in Rome.
Marcus nods. Because you're needed in this position, and Rome needs this position. Even if Rome doesn't know it. Aurelia looks at him. For a long time, Marcus senses something in that gaze. Not gratitude, recognition. As if she'd been waiting her whole life for exactly this, for exactly these words, from exactly this kind of person. She says,
Corvus, who are you, really?
Marcus smiles. A centurion who thinks a lot. She shakes her head.
No, you're not a centurion. You're something else. And one day you'll tell me.
Marcus doesn't answer, because one day he will tell her. But not today. 6 months until the campaign, Marcus is preparing. Every day is a brick in the wall. The cohort Caesar gave him is stationed in Ariminum. 480 men, 6 centuries. Marcus travels there on the 3rd day after the agreement. What he sees makes him clench his teeth. The barracks are filthy. Discipline is non-existent. 1/3 of the soldiers are sick. Their gear is worn out. 3 of the 6 centurions have been drinking since morning. The cohort commander fled with the treasury 2 months ago. This isn't a cohort. It's a dump. Caesar gave him the worst there was. Marcus stands before the ranks. 480 pairs of eyes. Indifferent, angry, empty. He speaks briefly. My name is Marcus Valerius Corvus. I am your new tribune. From this day forward, 3 rules. Boil water. Wash your hands. Show your wounds to the doctor. Whoever breaks a rule will dig latrines. Whoever breaks a rule 3 times will leave the cohort. Questions. Silence. Then laughter. From the back rows. Marcus's eyes search. A healthy man, bearded, a scar across his face. Centurion of the 3rd Centuria, Gaius Sempronius Rufus. He laughs openly, right in the tribune's face. Marcus doesn't react. He speaks. Centurion Rufus, how many men have you lost in the last year? Rufus stops laughing. He is silent. Marcus speaks. I know. 31 out of 80. 31 dead. 22 from disease, 6 from wounds, 3 from desertion. This isn't war, Rufus. This is incompetence. Silence. Absolute. Rufus turns crimson. His hand creeps toward his gladius. Marcus stands calmly. He has seen things far worse than a drunken centurion. He says, if you want to fight, I'll accept the challenge after you answer one question. What was the name of the last of the 31? Rufus is silent. He doesn't know. Marcus says, his name was Aulus. He was 23. He died of a fever 14 days ago. I read the casualty list before I came here. Rufus, you're a centurion. It's your job to know the names of the dead, because the dead are your duty. Rufus lowers his hand. Something shifts in his face. Marcus turns to face the ranks. He speaks. I don't promise it will be easy. I promise it will be right, and I promise that in 6 months, every one of you will be a soldier to be proud of. The first month is hell. Marcus breaks up the cohort and rebuilds it. He gets rid of 2 of the drinking centurions. He keeps 1, Rufus. Because despite all his drinking, Rufus knows drill. He knows steel. He knows how to strike and how to take a hit. He's missing just one thing. Purpose. Marcus gives him purpose. He makes him commander of the training group to train the recruits. Rufus grumbles, but he does it. And he stops drinking, not right away, gradually. a little less every day. Marcus notices. He says nothing. Helena arrives in the second week. She sets up a hospital, a full-fledged one. 2 tents, instruments, a supply of bandages, 2 medics she trained in Rome. Marcus looks at her and says,
Helena, I need you here, permanently, not as a guest, as an officer.
She looks at him. An officer? I am a woman, Corvus, Marcus says. You are a doctor. That is more important. She is silent. Then she nods. Marcus knows what that word means to her. An officer. For the first time in her life, someone called her not a woman, not a freed woman, not a Greek. An officer. Livia arrives a week after Helena. Marcus didn't call her. She came on her own, with a wagon, with a new accounting system, with color-coded boxes, with a 15% reserve already built in. Marcus watches her at the camp gate. She stands next to the cart, a small board in her hands, her dark hair tucked under a scarf. She's arrived, without asking, without waiting for an invitation. She just arrived, because this is where her work is. And here he is. Marcus nods to her across the courtyard. She nods back. Nothing more. Nothing more is needed yet. The second month. The cohort is beginning to take shape. Marcus is implementing his system. The Contubernia as a combat unit. The autonomy of the Decurions. 3 reconnaissance rings, color-coded supply wagons, mandatory medical care, guard rotations.
Field fortifications for every camp. Scorpions. Marcus orders 6 of them. From a workshop in Aquileia. He pays with his own money, which isn't much. Aurelia sends the rest. No explanation, just a chest of silver and a note. For the scorpions. Marcus reads the note. Who told her about the scorpions? Sun-Ah. Of course, Sun-Ah. His scout has already woven a web across half of Rome. 3 months later, the cohort is unrecognizable. Discipline is strict. The march is fast. No one is sick. The supply train runs like a well-oiled machine. The scorpions have been sighted. Every Contubernia knows its sector. Every Decurion knows the plan in case of an ambush. Marcus introduces an innovation found in no other legion. Night drills. Every week, without warning. The bugle sounds at 3 in the morning. The cohort has 10 minutes to fall in. Anyone who's late digs a hole. The first night, chaos. 20 minutes. Men mix up their gear. They stumble. They curse. A month later, 7 minutes. 2 months later, 5. Rufus stands before the formation and smirks. His Centuria is the fastest, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Marcus nods to him. Rufus nods back. No words pass between them, just results. The 4th month of training. Marcus receives a letter from Rome, not from Caesar, from Julia Drusilla, the daughter of the Optimus Marcus Julius Drusus, an enemy, an open enemy. Drusus voted against every proposal related to Marcus. Drusus called him an upstart, a dangerous plebeian, a threat to order. And now his daughter is writing to Marcus. The letter is beautiful, elegant. Every word is carefully chosen. She admires his exploits, wants to meet him, asks permission to come to Ahriman. Marcus reads, puts the letter down, looks at Sun-Ah. Sun-Ah says, "A trap." Marcus nods. Obviously. Drus sent his daughter to seduce, to compromise, to use. A classic move. Marcus says, "Let her come." Sun-Ah looks at him. He explains, "If I refuse, Drus will have an excuse. Corvus insulted my daughter. If I accept, I control the situation. Better to know where the enemy is than to guess." Julia arrives in a week, 19 years old, beautiful, bold, used to men losing their heads over her. Marcus doesn't. He sees right through her, a spoiled girl who has never made a single decision of her own, her father's tool, like a sword in a stranger's hand. And like any sword, she is not to blame for how she is used. He meets her at the gate, politely, formally. He shows her the camp, not a home, a camp, barracks, a drill ground, a hospital, a supply train. Julia is bored, it's obvious. She was expecting a hero. She got a quartermaster. In the evening, Marcus asks her for help. Julia, 31 men from my cohort died last year. I need to write letters to their families, real ones, warm ones, not official ones. I'm a soldier. I don't know how to write letters like that. You come from an educated family. You know how. You'll help. Julia looks at him. He sees confusion in her eyes. She came to seduce him. Now she's being asked to write letters to the dead. She sits down. She picks up a pen. She takes a small board. Marcus gives her a list. 31 names, age, city, family, details he gathered from the registry and from fellow soldiers. Julia begins to write. The first letter, the second. She stops at the third. Marcus sees it. Her hand is trembling. She reads the name. Aulus, 23 years old, mother in Capua, unmarried. She writes, slowly, word by word. When she finishes, her eyes are wet. Marcus says nothing. He doesn't comfort her. He doesn't comment. He takes the letter. He reads it. It's good. Genuine. He nods. She writes the next one. By morning, 4 letters are ready. Julia goes to her room. Marcus hears her through the wall, quietly, but he hears. She's crying. For the first time in her life, Julia Druziella has done something that matters. She wrote 4 letters to the 4 mothers of 4 dead boys. And it broke her. And it will put her back together again. Marcus knows. He's seen it before, many times. A person who touches real pain for the first time changes forever. A week later, Julia asks for more letters. Marcus gives them to her. 2 weeks later, she's corresponding with all the families. She replies to their letters. She tells them about life in the camp. She sends them the belongings of the deceased. She writes every letter as if she knew these people personally. Marcus looks at her and sees it. She is no longer her father's tool. She doesn't know it yet, but she is no longer his. She has become her own person. When Drews sends a letter requesting a report, Julia says no to her father for the first time in her life. Marcus learns about this from Sune, not from Julia. Julia doesn't tell him anything. She doesn't ask for his approval. She isn't seeking praise. She simply says no to her father. And she stays. The campaign begins in the spring. Caesar sets out with 4 legions across the Alps into Transalpine Gaul. Marcus marches with the 13th Legion. His cohort is on the left flank of the march, 480 men. Everyone knows their place. Everyone knows the plan. Everyone knows the name of the man to their right and left. The crossing of the Alps. Marcus had been preparing for it for 3 months. The route, day by day, overnight stops, water supplies at every pass, firewood, mule fodder. He had calculated everything. Or so he thought. On the 3rd day of the crossing, a landslide. A rock avalanche blocks the trail. 200 paces of debris. 3 wagons of the convoy are buried. 1 mule is dead. 2 legionnaires are wounded. Marcus stands before the debris and calculates. A detour, 2 days, clearing the path, 1 day. He has engineering tools, a trench-digging kit he ordered from Calpurnium. Calpurnium? He hasn't mentioned her yet. He found her in Aquileia on his 3rd trip for scorpions, a workshop on the outskirts. A sign bearing her father's name, Fabricius. Inside, the heat and the clang of hammers, and a woman with hands like a wrestler's, burns on her forearms, soot on her face, eyes narrowed from the constant heat. Calpurnia Fabricius, 31 years old, the best armorer in 3 cities. Every scorpion from her workshop strikes 50 paces farther than a standard one. Every pilum tip from her forge pierces a shield 10% deeper. Marcus brought her the blueprints. She looked at them in silence. Then she asked, "Who drew this?" Marcus said, "I did." She said, "You're not a blacksmith." "But you understand metal." "How?" Marcus said. "I've been reading." She smiled. "This is the first time someone other than a blacksmith has told me something useful about the scorpion's balance." They worked together for 3 days. Marcus explained the principles. She translated them into iron. His ideas, her hands. When the first modified scorpion was ready and struck 450 paces instead of 400, Marcus did one thing. He ordered a brand to be stamped on the frame. Fabriciu. Not Fabricius. Fabriciu. Her name, not her father's. Calpurnia stood and looked at the brand, silently. Then she turned to him. Her eyes were moist. She said nothing. Then she spoke. 6 more scorpions. By spring. And a set of entrenching tools, lightweight, made of my steel. Marcus nods. His men are currently clearing the landslide in the Alps with this very entrenching kit. 10 hours of work. The trail is clear. The supply train is moving. No delays. No casualties beyond the 2 wounded men Helena has already treated. Caesar only learns of the landslide from the evening report. Marcus doesn't ask for help. He doesn't complain. He doesn't play the hero. He simply solves the problem. Caesar makes a note. Marcus knows that Caesar makes notes. Caesar always makes notes. Transalpine Gaul, open plains, forests, rivers, territory that Rome formally controls. In reality, it is controlled by whoever has more swords. Caesar launches a campaign, quickly, ruthlessly. He defeats the Helvetii, then the Arverni, then the Sequani. Marcus takes part in 3 battles over 2 months. Each time his cohort is on the flank. Each time his system works. Calpurnia's scorpions strike at designated sectors. Soon Ah's intelligence provides information a day before contact. Livia's supply train moves without a hitch. Helena takes in the wounded and returns to duty those whom other cohorts would bury. The cohort's losses over 2 months. 7. The entire legion. 412. 7 against 412. Marcus doesn't flaunt this. He doesn't brag. But everyone sees the numbers. Caesar sees them. At the end of the 2nd month, he summons Marcus. The commander's tent. Night. A map on the table, a real map, with distances, with terrain. Marcus recognizes his work. Aurelia sent a copy of his maps to Caesar, without asking. Marcus makes a mental note. Talk to her. Caesar speaks. Corvus, the 13th Legion has lost its legate. Fever. Legate Marcellus died last night. The 13th needs a commander. Marcus stands. Silence. A legion. 5,000 men. Command of an entire legion. He is 34. A year ago, he was a centurion. Caesar speaks. I'm not asking if you want to. I'm saying you're ready. Marcus replies, one condition. My men come with me. A cohort, the staff, a doctor, a quartermaster, intelligence. Caesar nods. I expected this. The next day, Marcus stands before the 13th Legion. 5,000 men, 10 cohorts. 60 centuries. He looks into their faces. Strangers, unfamiliar, but a familiar type. Soldiers, tired, angry, having lost their commander. He speaks, a short speech, 10 sentences.
My name is Marcus Valerius Corvus. I am your new legate. I am not of noble birth. I did not buy my position. I received it because my men are alive. Starting today, we do one thing. We're learning how to go home. Silence. Then someone steps out of line. A voice, rough, familiar. It's Decius. Decius, who transferred from the 10th to the 13th a month ago. Marcus didn't know. Decius didn't write. Decius stands in the front row, gray-haired, straight, a scar across his face. He turns to the legion and shouts. Everyone heard the legate. To work. And 5,000 men begin to move. Marcus stands. Decius approaches. They look at each other. Decius says, I've been waiting for you, Corvus. Marcus says, I didn't know you were here. Decius smirks. That's because I didn't told your spy. She's good, but I'm better. For the first time in a long while, Marcus laughs. Sincerely, loudly. Decius hears that laugh and nods, as if checking, as if wanting to make sure. The man is still alive. Not a machine, a man. The 13th Legion under Marcus's command. The first month is chaos. 5,000 men, 10 cohorts, 60 centurii. Each with its own habits, its own traditions, its own level of discipline. Marcus doesn't tear everything down at once. He trained in a cohort. There you could tear it down and rebuild it in 4 months. A legion is on a different scale. Here, you need a surgical approach, not with a sledgehammer, with a scalpel. The first thing he does is place his own cohort at the center, exemplary, a model. The other 9 look at it and see formation, speed, supply train, medical care, discipline without cruelty, results without losses. Marcus doesn't order the other cohorts to copy him. He waits, like water coming to a boil. He shows the results. He waits for them to come on their own. 2 weeks later, the first Centurion from the 3rd cohort arrives. Then from the 5th, then from the 7th. Marcus trains each one personally. Decius helps. The old Primipulus knows how to speak to centurions, not like an aristocrat, like one of their own. He translates Marcus's ideas into a language the soldiers understand. At the same time, the Battle of Erosion. The name is ironic. Marcus knows that the original Erosion 40 years ago was a disaster. 80,000 Romans died because 2 consuls couldn't agree and attacked separately. This is a different Erosion, a different battle, but the same lesson. The Gallic army, the Arverni and the Aedui have united, 15,000, against Caesar's 4 legions, 20,000. Rome has the numerical advantage, but the terrain is difficult. Hills, forest, a river on the right flank. The commander of the right wing is Legate Attius Labienus, an aristocrat, not stupid, but formulaic. He orders a frontal assault, with all forces, in close formation, across open ground. Classic. A deadly classic. Marcus commands the left wing, the 13th Legion. He receives his orders to attack head-on simultaneously with the right wing. Marcus looks out over the field. He counts. 15,000 Gauls on the hills. If they attack head-on across open ground, the losses will be monstrous. The Gauls will strike from high ground, the advantage of elevation. Marcus makes a decision. He refuses to carry out the order. Openly, in full view of the entire legion. Not a mutiny, a question. He sends a messenger to Labienus.
The legate. I will carry out any order after you answer one question for me. Where is your reserve supply train with medical supplies? Labienus does not answer. He has no reserve supply train. Marcus turns the 13th around, not head-on, to the left, a flanking maneuver, through the forest, an hour's march.
a move to the flank of the Gallic position, where the hill gives way to a ravine, where the Gauls aren't expecting us. He reorganizes the legion into a new formation, scattered. Contubernia of 8. Each group knows its sector. Calpurnius's scorpions in the front lines, 6 of them, targeted at landmarks that Suna's reconnaissance marked 2 days before the battle. Designated fire sectors, crossfire, a fire bag on the flank. Labienus attacks head-on, as ordered. The Gauls meet him on the hills. The battle is fierce. Casualties are mounting. And then, Marcus strikes from the flank. The Scorpions open fire, 6 bolts per volley, every 5 seconds. The Gauls on the flank are unprepared. They were expecting an attack from the front. They're hit from the side. Panic. A stampede. The formation breaks. The 13th marches down the slope in Contubernia.
Each strikes its own sector, like clockwork. Decius leads the first cohort. Rufus leads the third. Florus, yes, Florus, a former spy, a former aristocrat with clean fingernails. Florus leads a Contubernia to the front line. 8 men, his men. He knows every name. The battle lasts 2 hours. By noon, the Gauls are retreating. They lose a third of their men. The 13th Legion, 4 killed, 11 wounded. 4 killed out of 5,000, against 5,000 Gauls on the flank. Labienus, casualties on the right wing, 640. 640 against 4. Marcus stands on the hill after the battle. Labian rides up, pale. Marcus silently salutes and speaks. A supply wagon with bandages stands behind that hill, Legate. I took the liberty of preparing it. Labian is silent. He turns his horse around, rides away. In the evening, the camp is buzzing. Legionnaires from all 4 legions. Everyone heard, everyone saw. 4 casualties. Corvus, the raven. Corvus's ravens. By nightfall, the camp is singing. A song, a new one, in which Corvus's name rhymes with Mars's. Marcus hears it and grits his teeth, because he remembers Piso's words.
When the legions start singing your name, the Republic ends. He goes into his tent, sits down, takes a tablet, writes a letter to Piso, a long one, a detailed one, about the school, about the academy, about the system that will replace the hero. He writes, Senator, today they sing my name. In a year, they'll be shouting it. In 5, they'll be dying for it. If you don't give me the academy, in 10 years, you'll get a new Sulla. Not because I want it, because they'll want it. Stop this now, while you still can. He seals the letter. He hands it to Suna. She leaves, silently. Marcus lies down. He doesn't sleep. He thinks. 4 dead. 4 names. He knows each one. Tomorrow he will write 4 letters. Julia will help. Julia, who now knows 147 names of the dead. Every face. Every family. Julia, who has ceased to be the senator's daughter and has become someone else. Someone of her own. Pison's reply arrives 20 days later. Brief. Dry. 3 lines. Corvus. I've heard about Aravzian. You were right. I'm listening. Come in the winter. Marcus reads it 3 times. I'm listening. 2 words from a man who never listens. It's more than a victory on the battlefield. It's a beginning. The campaign continues. 2 more months of fighting. Marcus leads the 13th through Allobrogian territory. Skirmishes, a siege of a fortified settlement, raids. Every time his system works. Suna's intelligence provides information. Calpurnius's scorpions provide firepower. Livia's supply train provides provisions. Helena gives life to those who were meant to die. The legion's casualties for the entire campaign, 83. The neighboring legion, 711. A difference that cannot be ignored. Caesar does not ignore it. He invites Marcus to a commander's meeting, not as a legate, as an expert. Marcus explains logistics, intelligence, medicine, artillery. 4 legates listen, 2 scoff. 1 is indifferent, 1 listens intently. Titus Labienus. Not that Labienus, the other one, the senior one, Caesar's best commander. He approaches Marcus after the meeting, asks, "Scattered formation, the contubernia as a unit. Tell me more." Marcus explains. Labienus listens. He nods. In a week, his legion begins training in contubernial combat. Marcus sees it. The first student outside his direct command, the first crack in the wall. Winter quarters. The legion is stationed in Narbonne. Marcus travels to Rome. Alone. No, not alone. With Suna, with Piso's letter, with the Academy's plan on 40 tablets. Rome in winter, cold, gray, dirty. Marcus goes to Piso. This time the conversation is different, not an interrogation. Negotiations. Piso listens to the plan, the Academy, the province, Transalpine Gaul, far from Rome, far from the legions, far from danger. Marcus will be there, not here, not in Rome, not near the Senate, not near the army that could proclaim him emperor. Piso listens. He thinks. 20 minutes of silence. Then he speaks. "Corvus, I know you could become the new Sulla. I know you don't want that. But in 10 years, your legionaries will want it for you. And then it won't matter what you want. Kill me now, or let me kill you. There is no third way." Marcus looks at the old senator, a gaunt face, icy eyes. This man is ready to die for the Republic, and ready to kill for it. Marcus speaks. "There is a third way, Senator." He explains, the Academy, not his personal, a state institution, a Senate institution, under Pison's control. Marcus will teach, not command, instruct, not lead. Every graduate belongs to the Senate, not to Corvus. In 10 years, 100 officers who know what Marcus knows. Not a single one of them is irreplaceable. Not a single one will become a hero. Because they all know the same thing. And then the Republic will be safe, not from external enemies, from internal ones, from those like himself. Piso is silent, for a long time. Marcus counts his heartbeats. 20, 30, 40. Piso stands up, approaches him. He removes the Calpurnius family ring from his finger, heavy, golden, with a carved bull. He places it on the table in front of Marcus. He says, "Take it. You'll need a patron. I will be that patron." Marcus looks at the ring, then at Piso. An enemy, now an ally. Because Marcus gave him what no one else had, not victory, not glory, control. Marcus takes the ring, slips it on. Heavy, cold, foreign, like everything in this world. That evening he's at Aurelia's. They're sitting in her uncle's tablinum, over maps, over data. Aurelia talks about grain routes in Gallia Narbonensis. Marcus listens. But his mind is elsewhere. She notices, she pauses, she speaks. "You're far away, Corvus." Marcus is silent for a second. Then he speaks. "Aurelia, I want to tell you something." She waits. Marcus speaks. "Not everything. Not about the system. Not about Ethan Reed. Not about the 21st century. He speaks of dreams, of the 2 bearers before him, about the man next to Alexander, about the man next to Hannibal, about how someone or something gives people the ability to change the course of war, and that this ability kills those who possess it." Aurelia listens, silently. She doesn't interrupt.
When he finishes, she is silent for a minute. Then she speaks. I believe you. Marcus blinks. Just like that. No proof, no questions. Aurelia speaks. Corvus, I know you're not who you claim to be. From day one. No Centurion knows what you know. No plebeian speaks the way you do. No Roman looks at the world the way you do. I don't know who you are. I don't care. What matters is what you do. Marcus looks at her. For the first time in a year in this world, someone has told him they know, that they see, that they accept. He doesn't know what to say. Aurelia says, My uncle has a scroll in his library, an old one, 2 centuries old. I found it a month ago. Parchment, written in Latin, in handwriting that resembles yours.
Marcus freezes. Aurelia takes out the scroll, unrolls it. Marcus reads. If you are reading this, you are not the first, and I hope not the last. Discipula non pereas. Learn so that you may not perish. The scroll is dated 2 centuries ago. The handwriting, Marcus compares it, not his, but similar, very similar, as if written by a relative or a predecessor, the third bearer, an Etruscan, the one whose name is erased. He wrote this scroll 200 years ago and left it for the next one. Marcus sits with the scroll in his hands, silently. Aurelia sits beside him, silently. Then her hand rests on his, gently, quietly. Marcus doesn't pull away. The 2nd year of the campaign. The 13th Legion, now called the Crows of Corvus. Marcus hears this nickname and feels a chill inside every time. Because he remembers. Legions that bear a commander's name are legions that will follow their commander anywhere, including Rome. He cannot forbid the soldiers from calling themselves that, but he can do something else. He introduces a tradition. Each cohort receives its own nickname. The first, Decius's Wolves. The third, Rufus's Hounds. The fifth, Caius's Boars. 10 cohorts, 10 names. Not a single name of Corvus. 10 names of 10 commanders. Marcus breaks up the cult, consciously, purposefully, because the only way not to become Caesar is to prevent the legion from becoming a personal army. The system is growing. The panel flashes less and less frequently. Skills level up more slowly. Marcus understands. A ceiling. Or not. Not a ceiling, a plateau. The system demands something new. Not battles, not victories. Something else. He thinks, at night. He lies there and thinks. The system levels up for confirmed victories and lives saved. He wins. He saves. But the system is slowing down. Why? The answer comes in a dream. The 3rd dream. The scariest one. He stands in a cave. Darkness. A torch in his hand. The walls are covered with drawings. Not Roman, not Greek. Older. Much older. 4 figures are drawn on the wall. The first is burning. The second is falling with a knife in his back. The third is fading, dissolving. The 4th stands at a crossroads. 2 roads. One leads to the throne, the other to the school. A voice. From nowhere, from everywhere. The system isn't looking for a winner. The system is looking for a teacher. Marcus wakes up. He understands. The system is slowing down because he's still doing it himself. He wins the fights. He saves lives. He, personally. But the system wants something else. The system wants him to teach others to do it without him. Not to win, to teach. Not a hero, a mentor. In the morning, he summons Decius, Rufus,
Flora, the 3 best Centurions. He says, "Starting today, I won't be planning the fights. You plan them. I'll check on." Decius nods. He understands. Rufus frowns. Flora turns pale. Marcus says, "In 6 months, the academy. You will be teaching, not me. I'll be there, but you'll be the ones teaching. Because the system only works if it doesn't depend on a single person." Decius says, "Corvus, you're asking us to become you." Marcus shakes his head. "No, I'm asking you to become better than me." Decius smirks. "You're serious?" Marcus isn't smiling. Absolutely. The next battle, Marcus isn't in command. Decius is in command. Marcus stands on the hill and watches. He bites his lip. Because Decius is making mistakes, not critical ones, minor ones, but they result in unnecessary casualties. Decius is 15 seconds late in shifting the Scorpion's fire. He brings in the reserves too late. He positions the 3rd cohort 100 paces to the left of where it should be. Casualties, 22, versus 4 if Marcus had been in command. 22 men, 22 families. Marcus stands on the hill and says nothing. He doesn't intervene, because if he intervenes, Decius will never learn. 22 dead is the price of learning. Monstrous, unbearable, necessary. That evening, Marcus sits with Decius. A debrief. No accusations, no shouting, point by point. What worked, what didn't, why. Decius listens. His face is gray. He knows. He lost 18 too many. Marcus sees it in his eyes. Pain, guilt, anger at himself. Marcus speaks. Decius, "Next time will be better." Decius is silent. Then he speaks. "Next time it will be 10. Marcus nods. "Good." And then 5, and then 2, and then 0. The next battle. Decius, 14 casualties. The next, Rufus, 9 casualties. The next, Florus, 6 casualties. The panel flashes. Marcus looks. Tactical superiority. A jump. A huge one. Bigger than any of his personal victories. Because the system doesn't measure his victories. It measures his students' victories. He gets it. He finally gets it. At the same time, a setup. Marcus learns from Sun-A. Senator Drusus, Julia's father, he accuses Marcus of treason, secret negotiations with the Gauls, preparing a rebellion. The evidence is fabricated. Letters, witnesses, the whole setup. Drus hates him, not because of Julia, because of fear. Marcus is dangerous. Marcus must be destroyed. The charges go to the Senate. An order arrives from Rome. Centurion Marcus Valerius Corvus is ordered to appear in Rome for a hearing, under escort. Marcus stands with the order in his hands. An escort. That means arrest. That means trial. It means execution, or exile. If he goes, he won't return. Decius stands nearby. He reads the order. His face is stony. Then he turns to Marcus. He speaks quietly. "Corvus, if you give the order, we won't hand you over." Marcus looks at him. "We?" Decius nods. "The Legion." Marcus clenches his teeth. Here it is, what Piso feared, what he himself feared. The Legion is ready to stand behind him, against the Senate, against Rome. One order, one word, and he will cross the Rubicon 15 years before Caesar. Marcus says, "No." Decius looks at him. Marcus speaks. "If the Legion stands behind me, the Republic will die today." and I will become what I swore I would never be. I will go to Rome, Decius says. They will kill you, Marcus says. Perhaps, but better one dead Corvus than a dead republic. Decius is silent. Then he says, Then I'll go with you. Marcus nods. All right. They ride to Rome, not one, not two, 20. Marcus, Decius, Rufus, Florus, 16 legionaries, volunteers, not an escort, an entourage. Marcus is traveling to Rome not as a defendant, as a legate who has voluntarily appeared for trial. This is important, the difference between someone who was brought in and someone who came of their own accord. Piso meets him at the gates, in silence. The Calpurnii ring glitters on Marcus's finger. Piso sees it and nods. The trial is set for 5 days from now. Marcus is preparing. Suna is working. Aurelia is working. Livia is working. Julia is working. 4 women, 4 fronts. Suna finds the witnesses Drus bribed. She finds out who forged the letters. She finds a connection between Drus and the Thracian hitman. Through her uncle's connections, Aurelia secures a change from a closed to an open hearing, a public trial, where Drus won't be able to quietly silence him. Livia provides complete documentation of the convoy, every figure, every shipment, proof that Marcus wasn't conducting secret negotiations, but keeping secret accounts. Julia. Julia stands before the Senate, the prosecutor's daughter, and she speaks. My father sent me to spy on Corvus. I did so, and this is what I found. A man who writes letters to the mothers of dead soldiers. A man who knows the name of every fallen soldier. A man who refused to rebel when his legion was ready to rise up. If that is treason, then I am a traitor too. Silence in the Senate chamber. Drusus is pale. Piso is impassive. Caesar looks from behind a column. He is silent. The charges collapse. Marcus is acquitted. Drusus is disgraced. Not destroyed. Marcus does not want to destroy him. He wants Drusus to live. An enemy you spare is an enemy who will think twice. After the trial, Rome is different for Marcus. Before he was the hero of the campaign. Now he is the man who could have taken power and did not do so. That is more powerful than any victory. Because in Rome, everyone knows, whoever can take power and does not is either a fool or a saint. Marcus is neither. He is calculating, and Rome senses it. Piso is pushing the matter in the Senate, quickly, before the wave of sympathy subsides. A proposal to establish a military academy in Transalpine Gaul, under Senate control. Commander, Marcus Valerius Corvus, with the right to recruit students from all classes. The vote. The optimates are in favor, because Piso is in favor, because Corvus is leaving Rome, far away, for a long time. The populares are in favor, because the academy will give their people a path to the top. A plebeian can become an officer not through blood or money, but through study. The moderates are in favor, because everyone is in favor. 3 vote against, Drusus and 2 of his clients. The proposal passes. Marcus receives a province, a small one, a patch of land in Transalpine Gaul, hills, a river, a plain for a parade ground, a forest for building. Perfect. He refuses the triumph, officially, publicly, before the Senate. He says, "A triumph is for victors. I did not win. I taught people not to die. That does not deserve a triumph. It deserves to be continued." The senators exchange glances, some with respect, some with suspicion, some with relief. A dangerous man is leaving, voluntarily. Let him go.
Marcus is leaving. But first, two things. First, Suna. He grants her freedom, officially, in front of witnesses, a document, a seal. Suna stands before him. Her face is impassive. He says, "You are free. You can leave. You can stay. The decision is yours." She remains silent. Then she says, "I'm staying." Marcus nods. He doesn't ask why. He knows why. Because in 2 years, not once did he look at her as an object. He didn't touch her. He didn't make a pass at her. He treated her like an officer. And that achieved what 4 escapes and 10 years of survival couldn't. It gave her a choice, a real one, the first in her life. And she chose to stay. The second thing, the night before departure. Suna comes to his room, late. Marcus isn't asleep. He's reading an Etruscan scroll. She enters, stands there, unfastens her cloak. Marcus looks up, stares, takes the cloak, drapes it back over her shoulders, pours some diluted wine, and asks, "Suna, tell me about the Parthian horse archers. Seriously, I need to know." She looks at him. 3 seconds, 5, 10. And for the first time in 10 years, she cries, silently, without a sound. Tears stream down a face that never smiles. Marcus sits beside her. He doesn't hug her, doesn't comfort her, doesn't touch her. He just sits there. Because sometimes, presence is all that's needed. She cries for a minute, then wipes her face. She sits down, and for 3 hours she tells him about the Parthian horse archers, tactics, weapons, formations, the chain of command. Marcus listens and takes notes. By morning their report is ready, and something has changed between them. Not love, not passion. Trust. The most precious thing that can exist between two people who both know what betrayal is. The road to Gaul. Marcus is traveling. With him are Decius, Rufus, Florus, Helena, Livia, and Julia. Calpurnia, who closed her workshop in Aquileia and loaded her tools onto 3 carts. Everyone is with him. No one is left behind. Marcus rides and thinks. 2 years ago, he woke up in a stranger's body in a filthy tent, with a system flashing before his eyes, with the name of a dead man, with nothing. With now, he has a province, an academy, a patron in the Senate, a legion that remembers his name, 6 women, each worth 10 centurions, a Primipolis who would follow him into the fire, and the system, which has finally stopped flashing, because he understood what it wants. Not victories, not glory, not power. Disciples, a province, hills, a river. Construction begins on the very first day. Marcus plans. Calpurnia builds a smithy. Helena builds a hospital. Livia organizes supplies. Sun organizes perimeter security. Julia writes letters, hundreds of letters, all over Rome, all over Italy, all over Gaul and Greece. Invitations. The first class is being recruited for the Corvus Academy. Aurelia arrives in a month. With the charter she wrote herself, 200 pages. The charter of the military academy, the curriculum, logistics, intelligence, fortification, medicine, tactics, artillery. 2 years of training. Marcus reads the charter and sees. She put everything into it. Every lecture he gave on the Aventine, every debriefing she heard, every evening spent over maps, every number, everything. He looks at her. She's standing by the window, the sun behind her. Aurelia says, "I did this because you couldn't. You were fighting. Someone had to write it down." Marcus puts the manual on the table. He says, "Aurelia, you wrote the first textbook on the art of war in history. She shakes her head. No, you wrote it. I just recorded it. Marcus smiles. It's useless to argue with her. He doesn't argue. Third month in the province. Night. Marcus stands on the wall of the academy under construction. Alone. The system is silent. It has been for a long time. He closed the interface after the trial. He doesn't need it. He knows his skills. He knows his limits. He knows what he can and cannot do. And he knows the most important thing. The system is not a gift, not a curse, not a test. The system is a tool. Like a scorpion. Like a gladius. Like a slate with calculations. A tool that works only in the hands of a master. And a master isn't the one who strikes hardest. A master is the one who teaches others to strike. Livia climbs onto the wall, quietly. She stands beside him. They stand in silence, for a long time. 3 years of knowing each other, 3 years of work, thousands of hours poring over slates with numbers, thousands of miles traveled together. She's by his side, always by his side. Quiet, reliable, like a caravan that always makes it to its destination. Livia says, "The stars are beautiful." Marcus says, "Yes." She isn't looking at the stars. She's looking at him. He knows. He feels it. Her hand rests on his, on the stone railing, lightly. Just like back then on the calculation board. Only now it doesn't move away. Marcus doesn't move his. They stand there. 2 adults who have lost everything. He, his life. She, her husband. And they have found each other. Not through words, through action, through numbers, through the thousands of lives saved that they counted together. Autumn of the year 55 before the birth of Christ. Morning. The sun rises over the hills of Transalpine Gaul. Marcus stands on a stone step in front of the academy building. Behind him is a pediment. On the pediment is an inscription. He carved it himself, with a chisel, letter by letter. Dice ne perias. Learn so that you may not perish. Before him stands 100 people, the first class, young faces, Romans, Gauls, Greeks, 2 Italians, 1 Iberian, 1 Parthian brought by Suna, and 1 girl, the daughter of a centurion from the 13th. Marcus insisted. The Senate objected. Piso remained silent. Marcus said, "Helena has saved more lives than any centurion. Livia has led more supply trains than any quaestor." Aurelia wrote a charter that no legate could have written. If a woman can do this, she can learn it. The Senate swallowed it, all 6 of them behind him. Marcus doesn't turn around. No need. He knows who's standing where. Livia on the right, a tablet with the student roster in her hands, precise, collected. 3 years, thousands of miles, thousands of tablets. She's right there, always by his side. Aurelia on the left, the 200-page charter tucked under her arm, eyes sharp, a mind second to none in this courtyard. The Roman army's first civilian analyst, a position Marcus created for her, a position that didn't exist. Now it does. Sun A by the right column, invisible, as always, eyes on the crowd, eyes on the hills, eyes on every person within a mile. A free woman, the first military intelligence chief in history whom no one sees, but everyone knows. Julia at the office entrance, a stack of letters before her. 342 letters she has written over the years. 342 dead soldiers whose families received not a standard issue formula, but human words. A girl sent to spy, a woman who found her colic. Helena at the hospital doors, arms crossed. A stern face. Everything is ready. Instruments, bandages, medicines, 2 operating tables,
a field medicine training program, the first in history. Her program, her knowledge, her life. Calpurnia at the entrance. Next to her, 2 scorpions of her making, an honor guard, a brand on each. Fabricia. Her name, not her father's. Hands with burns, eyes calm. Over the past year, she has made more than just scorpions. She has created a new type of entrenching tool, a third lighter, a quarter stronger. Every legionnaire of the 13th carries her work. Everyone knows her name. Decius stands next to Marcus, on the steps. Ceremonial lorica, polished, shining. Gray-haired, upright. A scar across his face. 33 years in the ranks. He looks at 100 young faces before him, and Marcus sees it. Something glints in the old soldier's eyes. Not tears. Decius isn't crying. Light. Hope. For the first time in 33 years, Primipulus Gnaeus Decius sees a future in which soldiers don't die from filth and stupidity. Marcus speaks. He doesn't give long speeches. He never has. Here you won't be taught how to win. Here you'll be taught how to bring your men home.
If you want glory, leave now. If you want a soldier with a wife and children at home to return to them, stay. Silence. 100 men. Not a single one moves. Not a single one leaves. Marcus looks into their faces. Young, different, Roman, Gallic, Greek. All the same. All came to learn. He nods. Decius. Primipulus steps forward, turns to the ranks. A voice, loud, commanding, the same voice with which he gave orders for 33 years. Everyone heard the legate. To work. And 100 men begin to move. Marcus stands on the steps, watching, thinking. 2 years and 7 months. That's how long it's been since the day he opened his eyes in a dirty tent in Cisalpine Gaul. 2 years and 7 months since Lieutenant Colonel Ethan Reed died on a bridge in Virginia. Since the system flickered for the first time. He remembers every day, every decision, every mistake, every name. 94. That's how many people have died under his command during that time. 94 of those who could have been alive. He remembers every one of them. Sextus, 19 years, a dirty rag, gangrene. The first. Aulus, 23, fever, the 3rd day after dysentery. Those 4 at Arusian. Those 22 when Decius commanded for the first time. Every name. Every face. Julia knows them all, because she wrote 342 letters, and every one was real. Rufus climbs the steps, stands beside her, says nothing, then snorts. Corvus. And the porridge at the academy will be better than in the Legion. Marcus looks at him. Rufus, a former drunkard, a former centurion without a clue. Now a drill instructor, sober, tough. The best instructor Marcus could have asked for. Marcus says, "No, Rufus. The porridge will be the same." Rufus nods. "All right, let them get used to it." Floor comes out of the office, a small board in his hands, lists of students, group assignments, the schedule for the first week. Floor, a former spy, a former aristocrat, now an adjutant, an assistant, the right-hand man. He knows the name of every one of the 100 students. He memorized them in 2 days, because 2 years ago, a centurion told him, "Learn the names." Marcus descends the steps. He walks across the courtyard, past the smithy, past the infirmary, past the parade ground, past the barracks. Everything is new. Everything is clean. Everything built by the hands of his people. His people, not his slaves, not his soldiers, his people, who chose to be here, every one of them, freely. A standard stands at the academy gates, a Roman eagle, golden, imperial. Next to it, a second one, a black raven on a silver field, the standard of the 13th, the standard of Corvus's ravens. And in the corner of the standard, in small letters, visible only to those who come close, Dice Neperias. Marcus stands by the standard. Evening is falling. The sun is setting behind the hills. The shadows are long. The air smells of smoke and fresh wood and autumn grass. Behind him is the academy. 100 students, 6 women, 1 primipilus, 2 centurions. The smithy, the hospital, the library where Aurelia has already brought the first 200 scrolls. Before him lie the hills. Beyond the hills lies Gaul. Beyond Gaul lies Rome. Beyond Rome lies a world that does not yet know it has changed. The panel flashes. One last time. Marcus opens the interface. Tactical superiority. 10,000 out of 10,000. Modern logistics. Rank S. Intelligence. Rank S. Field fortifications. Rank A. Artillery and indirect fire. Rank A. Operational planning. Rank S.
Combat medicine and morale. Rank S. Arc 1 complete. Begun. Legacy. Marcus closes the interface. Forever. No longer needed. The system has done its job. It gave him the tools. It gave him the structure. It gave him the dimension. Now he knows. The system is not a gift, not a test, not a trial. The system is a mirror. It shows the bearer who he can become. The first could have been a teacher. He became a conqueror. He burned out. The second could have become a reformer. He became a victim, betrayed. The third could have become a founder, erased from history. The fourth, Marcus Valerius Corvus, Ethan Reed. He could have become an emperor. He became a teacher. And the Etruscan scroll on the table in his office? If you're reading this, you're not the first, and I hope you're not the last. Discipula non per as. Marcus takes out a blank parchment. He sits down. He picks up a stylus. He writes, If you're reading this, I'm not the first. You're not the last. But maybe you'll be better. Teach. Don't conquer. Teach. They won't remember your victories. They'll remember that you taught them to return home. Marcus Valerius Corvus, 55th year BC. He folds the parchment, seals it. Places it next to the Etruscan scroll. 2 letters, 2 centuries apart, from one to the other. And perhaps in another 2 centuries, someone will find a third scroll next to these 2, and read it, and understand. Footsteps behind him. Marcus turns around. Livia. She stands in the doorway, dark eyes, warm. 3 years, thousands of miles, thousands of tablets. She speaks. Dinner. They're waiting for you. Marcus stands up, takes her by the hand, for real, for the first time, not by accident, not on a tablet, by the hand. She doesn't pull away. They walk to the dining hall, a long table, wood, benches. Everyone is at the table. Decius, Rufus, Florus, Helena, Aurelia, Sune, Julia, Calpurnia, and 100 students who don't yet know that they have just become the beginning of a new era. Marcus sits down, Livia next to him, Decius across from him. Bread on the table, diluted wine, porridge, the same kind, just like in the Legion. Marcus takes the bread. He breaks it. He gives half to Livia. She takes it. Decius raises his cup, silently. Everyone raises theirs. They drink, not to victory, not to glory, not to Rome. To those who have returned home, and to those who will return. Marcus drinks. The wine is warm, bitter, good. He sets down the cup, looks at the people around him, his people. Everyone is alive. Everyone is here. Everyone chose to be here. The sun is setting outside the window. Two standards rise above the academy, an eagle and a raven. And the wind carries the scent of smoke and bread and autumn grass. And somewhere in Rome, Senator Piso reads the report and, for the first time in 20 years, allows himself to believe that the Republic will last another generation. And somewhere in Gaul, a soldier of the 13th Legion takes off his armor and enters the house where his wife and 3 children are waiting for him. And his wife is crying, because he has returned. Because someone 1,000 miles from here has learned to count, has learned to think, has learned to place people where they will not die, and has taught others to do the same. Marcus Valerius Corvus, Ethan Reed, the 4th bearer, the first teacher, disciple, not successor.